Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have guest June Lundgren. I hope I got that right, June. She is a psychic medium, animal communicator, international paranormal investigator, author, and also she is a demon seer. She's seen demons since her early childhood. And tonight's subject I titled The Dark Side of the Paranormal. So we're going to get into what are these negative entities, demons, negative entities, shadow people. This is somebody who sees them around us all the time and tries to help people with these issues. So tonight later, we will definitely open up the phone lines if you guys want to call in and talk to our guest, June Lundgren, later in the show. And of course, tons of weird to get to. Election season's over, thank God. But the weirdness continues, and probably a lot more weird to come. So World Wide Web of Weird, of course. Phone lines later in the show. We got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get rolling on into it. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, June Lundgren, will join us after the World Wide Web of Weird, after our first commercial break. But joining me, as always, is my beautiful co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing well, thank you.
Glad to have you here, and I think this is going to be a good show, good topic. Next week, we have we're going to be kind of into a psychic animal communicator, which June also does. We can get a little bit of that tonight, but I really want to focus on the dark side, right? The dark side of the paranormal, because, you know, I've had my encounter, and many of you have, with something negative out there. I know some people like to only focus on the light, the positive. Go to the light, Caroline. Yeah, we gotta talk about the dark side a little bit. We'll do that with June. Joining me, as always, on the dark side himself is Rob Autry from St. Augustine, Florida. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing.
Glad to have you here, especially to run the World Wide Web of Weird, because we are a webcast for those people listening on the Paranormal Radio app, on Talkstream Live's Paranormal Radio app. If you are listening, we do have some photos, videos at times you want to come watch. Otherwise, I'll narrate as best as possible. But speaking of, let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, I thought we would start off with the continuing story of supposed UFO disclosure. Yes, everybody's talking about November 13th. November 5th is over, so now November 13th, UFO witnesses to testify at congressional hearing. I don't know. I feel like we'll see. And as I said, for those, I did that earlier, I usually do it at this point, but those listening in the Paranormal Radio app, we are a webcast. This is the part I usually say it at. I don't know why I said it early, but come watch if you want. We'll narrate as best as possible. I'm off my regular routine, I guess. According to the defense scoop, the hearing, which is going to take place on November 13th, will be headed up by the Republicans on the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. The Cyber Subcommittee and National Security Subcommittee will hold a joint hearing on UAPs on November 13th, a spokesperson told the outlet. Cyber Subcommittee Chairwoman Nancy Mace, Republican from South Carolina, and National Security Subcommittee Chairman Glenn Grothman, Republican from Wisconsin, will co-chair the hearing, officially titled Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon Exposing the Truth. The event, which will examine government transparency with regard to cases of UAPs that pose a potential threat to U.S. national security, will also hear testimonies from several witnesses, including retired Navy Rear Admiral Timothy Gaudet, who had previously spoken about USOs. Do I have big hopes for this? No. I don't have big hopes for this. I don't think a lot of people do. We'll see what happens. It's more disclosure is better. Any little tidbit, whatever, just brings it out into the public arena for people to more talk about it openly. So that's the good side of it. But are we going to get any actual disclosure? No. Doubtful.
Probably not.
And if we do, it'll just have a bunch of Sharpie lines through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They need to be talking about the threat. There, obviously there's a threat, right?
Mhm.
I have a feeling in the end it's going to be like it's China or it's Iran, or like they have really good drones, which is possible. That's going on too. I'm sure that's going on. But I don't know. I always feel like they're just throwing us a bone.
Yeah.
Just me, the cynic in me,
Keep that funding coming.
little cynic Stan Marsh that I am. I don't have much faith that anything's coming of it. The only thing I think is good for the public disclosure. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next thing. More UFO stuff. Mystery silver cube UFO among strange objects filmed over Missouri. A few years ago, we reported on a case of Justin Johnson, a Missouri resident who used his mobile phone to film a peculiar spinning cube-shaped object floating over the state. Now his sighting and his footage are back in the news again, this time as part of a story highlighting the number of unexplained objects that have been spotted over Missouri over the last few years. In addition to Johnson's sightings, some of the more prominent examples have included sightings of a thin white object that was filmed zooming across the sky near passenger jets last summer, and even a second UFO sighting filmed by Johnson himself a few weeks ago. UFO researcher Alejandro Rajas, I don't know how you say that, sorry, however, has urged caution over interpreting these sightings. The vast majority of the sightings that we get are misinterpretations of something mundane, he said. I mean, yeah, of course, right? There are a lot of great possibilities out there, but we just don't know. We really need to follow the data, figure it out. For Johnson, however, the objects he has recorded remain something of a mystery. We're on the precipice of finding out something that can change humanity forever. Anybody in the Missouri area have that? Feel like it's a hot spot for UFOs? I feel like everywhere could be. I don't know. But is it? I'm not familiar with Missouri. If there's certain areas of Missouri that are kind of like hot spots for UFOs like this. I mean, the one investigator, well, these all could be different mundane things. Yeah, we know that. But, are people having lots of sightings there? Mundane things explained away, whatever, but are there a lot of sightings? That's what I want to know. All right.
They say some claim a small Missouri town has been a beacon for out-of-this-world visitors for the half-past century. Piedmont, Missouri, has been named the UFO capital of the Show Me State.
Cape Girardeau, 1941.
That's the AI rundown.
Nah. Well, Cape Girardeau, 1941, pre-Roswell, right? Missouri, Rush Limbaugh's hometown. We've had, I feel awful now. I can't think of his name right now. That author, the author wrote the whole book on it, and I can't think of his name at the moment. I'm so sorry. I'm tired. My brain's totally gone kaput. Trying to remember this. I consider him a friend. I can't think of his name at the moment. Yeah, I hope he's not watching. I can't think of his name. Oh my God, my brain's got blank. He's written all about that, the 1941 Missouri, Cape Girardeau, because he's from that town. So maybe Missouri is a hot spot. All right, we'll move on. Not that far from Indiana. I could drive there. That's what I'm thinking. What's the name of the town? What was it again? The town you were talking about?
Piedmont.
Piedmont? All right, more UFO stuff. Eerie lights seen next to Rainbow in Barcelona just before the floods. Just days before devastating floods hit Spain, and an eerie scene was captured on video in Barcelona. The clip shows a cluster of unidentified white lights contrasting against a striking double rainbow. As the comparison zooms in, the bright lights dart through the clouds and behind the rainbow, leaving viewers in awe. And then, I was talking about mundane explanations. Well, I'm not going to read the whole article because I'll let you watch, and then I'll let you guys guess what you think my explanation is this for mundane explanation. It's cool. Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm not an expert. I could be totally wrong, but I think I have a mundane explanation. Go ahead and play the video. The interesting, this is UFOs that are appearing before a flood, but I think there's an explanation for this.
Was that around a time of a blue angel, like a blue angel?
Or at least an explanation. I'm not an expert, but an explanation experts have given on footage very similar to this, like in Japan, years ago we covered, and others, is that these white balls that you're seeing is just the sun reflecting off of seagulls.
Yeah, I was thinking it could be seagulls, or maybe how planes look in a certain.
It's definitely not planes because you can the way they move is not planes.
Well, I was thinking
birds.
like we've the angels that fly over here sometimes in certain groups and stuff, and you won't really be able to see them through the overcast. But yeah, birds was my first thought.
I mean, it'd be interesting if this was UFOs. The rainbow, UFOs, and then flooding. It seems.
I can say the other night I was outside. I was driving and I looked up and I saw this thing. I was like, "Holy crap!" And I saw these white things, and then I realized it was birds.
Yeah.
But yeah,
seagulls
at first,
really reflect that light.
Yeah, it was just moonlight hitting them, but it was a whole flock of birds like flying in a V form, like geese, like flying in a V formation. And it freaked me out at first, and then I realized what it was.
Yeah, I've seen them use this explanation. It seems like a logical explanation. I'm not an expert to tell you that's seagulls, but I've seen that proposed, and it seems like a logical explanation. Similar footage, similar explanation that it's seagulls, and it could make sense. I've seen it with my eyes; them kind of look weird like that.
Yeah,
that's how they look at night.
Right, and the way that it's moving around, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably the seagulls are reacting because they know the flood's coming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The weather, they're just taking off.
Yeah.
Where's some dry land?
We're waiting for all the garbage to be laid out after the waters are seen, right? Oh, we got so many seagulls here. We're by the lake. They're, people just drop their garbage everywhere, and the seagulls are just like, "Ooh, yay, mine!"
Mine.
All right, next up.
Mine.
Yeah, exactly. From Finding Nemo. Extra life. I had to do this one. I'm sorry. I'm 8 years old. Extra life could be thriving near Uranus. New study. I'm sorry. I had to.
I wondered what that tickling was.
It seems that there could be yet another subsurface ocean of liquid water in the solar system, with Miranda, a moon of Uranus, joining the ranks I'm sorry, I'm going to keep doing it. Alongside Jupiter's Europa, Saturn, and as a promising place to look for evidence of extraterrestrial life. One of our solar system's most unusual moons, Miranda, which was photographed by the Voyager 2 spacecraft back in the 1980s, has a surface covered in strange grooves and unusual patterns thought to be indicative of tidal forces and internal heating. By revisiting these images and attempting to reverse engineer the process, this could have produced such a surface. Scientists were able to determine that Miranda could very well have subsurface oceans of liquid water. The hidden ocean would be around 62 miles deep and hidden beneath 19 miles of thick, icy crust. It's always beneath big, thick ice or something like that. Yeah, I don't think we're going to go there and find life anytime soon. Maybe a probe. I'm sorry, I had to read it, Extra life could be thriving near Uranus.
And moon being another word for butt. It just makes it kind of even funnier.
Uranus is moon. I know. I'm an 8-year-old at heart. I'm sorry.
Is it a full moon or is it just Uranus?
I giggle every time I put up a Uranus type article, especially the way they write the headlines. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, right. I think Unexplained Mysteries. I had that one. Knows that. With that
they know what they're doing.
I mean, another reason to write an article about Uranus.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. Yes, of course, because I have the humor of an 8-year-old. All right, one of my favorite Bigfoot channels is Rocky Mountain Sasquatch. has this on Coast to Coast by Tim Bindle has the article here. Bigfoot photographed by game camera in Indiana. In Indiana, I always say I don't think I see Bigfoot here because I live in Indiana and I don't think we have many Bigfoot roaming around. But I get proven wrong lately every time I feel like I say that. And this is interesting. I don't know. I mean, it could be something, but it's Indiana and Bigfoot. Come on. And it's in like Connorsville. I don't know where exactly that is. I'm up north. I'm sure that's somewhere south. Remarkable series of photos captured by a game camera in Indiana shows what appears to be a mysterious bipedal creature walking through a wooded area, and some believe the strange animal was a Sasquatch. The compelling images were reportedly sent to Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization by an individual named Josh Banker. Writing, I literally don't have the words to describe what appears in these photos, he explained, that the pictures were snapped this past weekend by a game camera on his property in the community of Connorsville. In the image showcased above, a seemingly bipedal creature crosses in front of the device as it makes its way through the woods, leading Banker to marvel that I think I caught a freaking Sasquatch. Adding some additional context to the photos, Banker indicated that the neighbors said that they had heard weird screams at night, though he had assumed the commotion was caused by dogs reacting to deer in the area. In light of what his game camera captured, the property owner went on to jokingly muse, "No more going to the woods without my 45. As often the case with his possible Bigfoot photos, the images are admittedly hard to decipher, though they are undeniably weird." All right, go ahead. There's like going to be a series of photos at play here, yeah. I mean, could it be a guy in a ghillie suit? I don't know. I had a friend, Judy, her son, I think, or somebody had a game camera out somewhere, somebody they knew. And they had something like that show up in game camera, like it's a guy in a ghillie suit out there. You can see it was a ghillie suit, but I can't tell you that this is a guy in a ghillie suit. But it could be. It depends on the area. It's private property. Should be somebody out there hunting in a ghillie suit in the middle of the night. I mean, seems a bit dangerous. It seems pretty furry to me, the way it looks. And then is this a staged hoax? I don't know.
Yeah, I was almost thinking it like a costume, but you can't really get a gate, like the gate on it.
Guy puts his name behind it. It's got Providence, so I like that. Somebody's going to put their name on it and say, "Hey, I got this."
We can't really see the way he walks because the camera like freezes and then, goes to the...
It's just taking pictures with the motion
pictures,
detector. Yeah, it's just a trail camera. And I don't know. Indiana, though. Connorsville. I wonder where that is at. Then go take a drive to see Bigfoot. That's my one paranormal encounter I really haven't had yet, right?
And then you look at who posted it. Do they have 100,000 like Bigfoot type like videos? Are they a digital creator?
They didn't. They submitted it to Rocky Mountain Sasquatch, which is a group I really like.
Yeah.
So to me, they put their name on it. They submitted it to a really good group.
They could have caught something.
It's very positive, right? Very positive signs that this could be something. But is it just some hunter out there could be in a ghillie suit would be my wanted question, right?
But do you see him carrying like a rifle or a crossbow?
No, it doesn't look like it to me. It doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
It looks like this could be
a Bigfoot. I don't see nothing over his like shoulders. Yeah. Unless he's like
be interesting to get like a comparison of what the height is compared to the location, the trees. It doesn't seem like it's tall, but I don't know where the camera is or how far back. I don't know. He's walking like an Egyptian. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
All right, we'll move on now. Because we got more strange creatures spotted. That's the last parts of the World Wide Web of Weird is strange creatures about, right? Here we got, next up, unidentified creature captured on camera in Ritter Park, West Virginia. Footage of the sighting was captured recorded on October 21st, shows a small four-legged animal with a pointy face and a long tail, prompting some heated debate over what species it could possibly be. Keller had been driving to work at the time, couldn't believe what she was seeing when the mysterious creature appeared next to a small herd of deer at the side of the road. I realized it was something I'd never seen before, she told WSAZ. The mystery would go on to generate a great deal of interest on social media, with some users suggesting the animal could be a type of lemur, a species native to the island Madagascar, which is situated 9,000 miles away on the coast of Africa. Wildlife expert Andy McKee, however, believes that the most likely explanation is the mysterious creature is a fox with mange. Type of contagious disease, we know what mange is. We talked enough on here about that. The explanation would certainly make more sense than a lemur without capturing the creature. It might be impossible to confirm exactly what the animal is. Well, people get these pets they shouldn't have. I don't know.
Lemurs have
But
big, fluffy, long tails.
it doesn't seem fluffy. It seems like it is mangy, like skinny.
Yeah. It kind of looks. Oh, you know what that looks like?
Hmm.
I think they have them. Where was this? Texas? By Texas?
I think this was Texas, wasn't it?
Yeah. They were like saying, oh, this is some new species of something, but then it came out what it was. I just don't remember. But one of the wildlife guys just didn't know what it was, but it's something that's not that uncommon.
I haven't seen that in here on this article. I wonder what it was. Original article was from
It is what I
people.com.
think it is.
Pig dog.
Where was this? So I'm missing where it was. Hold
It's
on.
like a rat, deer.
This was West Virginia. This was West Virginia. West Virginia.
Oh,
Not Texas, sorry. West Virginia.
well then I don't know.
I don't know, but a lot of these crazy animals getting loose, and now everybody's talking about the last thing I got to talk about.
It's got like a long face for like going down holes and stuff, though.
like what those anteater things or something like that.
Yeah.
Or this last one, what everybody's talking about. Oh, it's
My
not
favorite.
even 2025 yet. And we got to have the Planet of the Apes is what they say in this one article. It reminds me except there are 43 monkeys, but it reminds me of 12 monkeys. Real life Planet of the Apes is 43 monkeys escaped from lab. An incident sounds like the opening scenes from Planet of the Apes movie. Authorities in the small town, Yamasi, have been trying to track down a large group of monkeys that managed to escape a local laboratory after a caretaker reportedly failed to secure the doors properly. They are believed to be in the wooded region surrounding the facility. Is it Yamasi? How do you say it? Police department wrote on Facebook. The staff at Alpha Genesis are currently Alpha Genesis. Man, that sounds like some bad like zombie apocalypse company. Staff at Alpha Genesis are currently attempting to entice the animals back using food in order to ensure their safe capture. Those worried about the monkeys spreading some sort of experimental virus needn't be, however, as the animals are all too young to have actually been used as part of any testing.
That's what they said later. That's what they said later. They're
Yeah,
all females and too small and young and haven't been tested on yet after.
Then
first
later we're like,
episode.
well, but they're also not thought to otherwise pose any risk to the general public. We urge anyone who sights or encounters one of these animals to contact 911 immediately and to refrain from approaching or interacting with any of them, the police department wrote. These animals are highly sensitive and easily startled. We recommend the public to avoid the area to prevent frightening them further. Anyone living in the area has also been advised to keep their homes secure. Residents are strongly advised to keep doors and windows secured to prevent these animals from entering homes.
See, they're scared to death
Hell,
because
oh,
these people do
Hell
to them.
no.
Have you ever seen what they do? A lot of these monkeys, like the testing,
Yes,
it's horrible.
it's horrible.
It's horrible. It's
Horrible. Like run my
soul
butt
crushing to
from
see.
nightmare.
Makes you hate humanity.
So bad.
I mean, I saw one today where they like got their little heads
I
like
can't
popped out
even.
of top of boxes, and they're force feeding drugs into them. Big pharma, right? But I do we trust that? I don't trust them that they have. Oh, they're too young. We didn't do any. I feel like a
don't
big
trust
butt is
anything
coming.
They say about it.
They caught one of them. I heard just earlier this morning. I think I saw her last night. They caught one of these so far.
Rob has wild monkeys in Florida. And I said, monkeys in Florida? And he said, yeah, a lab. Tell him.
Yeah. A lab, like, I don't know, it's like 30 miles from here. Yeah. Same thing. And these monkeys been loose for years. They didn't capture them. Once these things are out there, they ain't going to
And
get
they
them.
were tested on, right?
Oh, yeah.
The 100 or more years more of testing on monkeys, they'd have this down pat, like how not to let monkeys escape. But they don't.
Yeah.
Life finds a way. Monkeys find a way.
Like,
Monkeys got to get in trouble.
Like, oops, the bat.
Or maybe it's just karma.
Yeah, that's it. You
'Cause
said in
you're
the
doing
article,
horrible things.
oh, the guy didn't secure the door. Like, the monkeys are just out in the apartment, like watching TV, and somebody left the door.
Undercover FEMA.
Or
And
maybe
she
maybe the guy was like, "Oops," because he couldn't take watching them torture
Yeah,
these
like
things.
undercover FEMA or just someone that had a heart, and they're just like, run, little monkeys, get the hell out of here.
when I was a kid, I saw in the theater. Remember the Matthew Broderick movie where
Oh,
he's like
gosh.
a pilot tester for. He's like a pilot, and he ends up having to like train these chimps or apes, whatever, to
Yeah.
learn how to fly these killer planes and whatever, and they could survive like a radiate. It was. I mean, it broke my heart. I cried in that movie theater as a little kid. I cried.
what-
I've been against animal testing ever since. You know, that movie convinced me. Matthew Broderick, he convinced me. Animal testing's wrong. You know, I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible. Just take a 2-minute glimpse of animal testing on the internet, and you're going to be like outraged. I'm
thought it
outraged.
was like makeup, like the rabbits and the makeup testing, and that was like enough for me, like back then.
Oh, yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg, man.
Tip of
That's
the
just the tip of the
iceberg, yeah.
iceberg of
It's
the
just how
horrible
horrible
things we do.
humans can be to
Yeah,
other
people are like
creatures
those
that we-
horrible aliens abducting humans. Horrible
Yeah.
aliens. Why? We would never do it.
Like,
You
we're
know, like,
really,
like, oh.
people.
yeah, like I said, karma. I'm serious. Like all the years they tested on monkeys, you think they have it down right now where they be pretty well at keeping monkeys from get out, but they always get out. They seem to always get out. So let's not test on monkeys anymore. They're dangerous to get out. I've seen Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman. I mean, come on. I don't know how many times they regurgitated that in the '90s Hollywood pandemic stuff, like they were trying to program us. I don't
See, that's my worst nightmare
yeah.
is being asleep at night, waking up, and you hear something breaking in your house, and it's a group of these damn monkeys.
And there's something
That is a kind of scary idea. It is.
Dude, I'm like with monkeys, I'm like you with snakes and stuff.
Or it's aliens, because remember Terry Lovelace when he was a little kid. He thought they were little
Exactly.
monkeys.
It's all
So
about-
I don't know. All that's just scary to me. But that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. Our guest tonight is June Lundgren, psychic medium, demon seer, animal communicator. A lot to get into tonight. We're going to be talking about the dark side of the paranormal. After the short commercial break, we will be right back.
necromancy. You were brought here for one purpose. Necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please.
And death to the living. Necromancy, starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing. In color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Hello, I am Fernando Martinez. I think by now you know I am an emotional kind of guy. People stop me in the street and say, Fernando, what the hell is wrong with me? Silk shirt, hairy chest, enough aftershave to drown a household pet, but I still cannot get a woman, I tell them you are an ignorant fool. Without a symbol of power and fertility around your neck, what kind of woman is going to respect you? That is why I have teamed up with Medallion Man, the shop for medallion needs. Medallion Man caters to all levels of masculinity. For the strong, silent type, a medallion the size of a hubcap will say everything that needs to be said. Even singing medallions for the Casanova, who knows music is the food of love. Model trains, dollhouses, diapers, whatever your interest, we've got the medallion for you. Don't forget, every woman knows if you can't support a medallion, you can't support a family.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe, 5 by 5.
Tonight, our guest is June Lundgren. June is a psychic medium, animal communicator, healer, nurse, demon seer, international paranormal investigator, and author with over 40 years of experience in the paranormal field. As a child, she communicated with spirits, animals, and angels. June served in the military where she trained as a nurse and EMT. After returning from the military, she continued to work in the medical field as a nurse and is currently the founding member of GhostsandGirlsParanormal.com. We're going to talk about the dark side of the paranormal tonight. For you guys that have listened to my show over the years, you know I've talked about myself a lot. But my own shadow person, dark entity experience is why I brought me to do this show, to give people a voice to be able to talk about these things. June sees these things. And we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. What is their purpose? What do they look like? You know, why? And how are they influencing us in our everyday lives? It's the dark side of the paranormal. Things people should be aware of when they get involved or start taking an interest in anything, that there are dangers that lurk. I found out the hard way as a young man. I would not wish that upon anyone. Those are the things to talk about tonight. We will open up the phone lines later in the show after the next commercial break, so hang in there if you want to talk to June. But let's go ahead and get to our guest. All right, let's bring June here into the StreamYard. How you doing tonight, June? It's an honor to have you on, and happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. Another year shot.
I'm honored you join us on your birthday, so happy birthday to you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the birthday wishes.
Well, I always, you said, well, I'll have it free. It'll be my birthday. So.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm free. Okay.
So I'm very honored to have you on. Well, welcome June to the show. I'd like to talk, especially I read in your bio about this being from childhood, what that experience was like growing up, seeing another world that most people didn't.
Well, I was raised by my maternal grandmother, and she was a psychic medium as well. And it runs in the females in our family. It's handed down from generation to generation until it gets to the last of our line. And my son is the last of our line, and he has abilities as well, but he doesn't like anybody to know about that.
No.
Well, it's a guy thing.
I don't. I've never been shy about it.
I have a like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different when it's your own child.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I don't want to get into that stuff, Mom.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
But as I was saying before, you know, a lot of people start to get interested in this, and I've been chided by other mediums before that were very, I want to say new agey in a sense. I love them to death, but they chided me when I go to the dark side of things. When I talk about the dark side of things, like, oh, we don't want to talk about that.
A lot of
I'm like, yeah,
a
but you
lot
need
of them
to.
don't want to. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre to me because I've always dealt with them. And as a child, until I was about 4.5 years old, I saw them as most humans do. You know, a black mass or a black type, you know, humanoid type creature. But about 4.5 years old, it changed. The way I saw them changed. And Michael the Archangel, he's always been with me in my all my lifetimes from the beginning. And I was afraid when I saw them in their true form. And he said, you don't have to worry about that. He said, because you're seeing them through angelic eyes. He says, you see them as we see them in their true form. And he's like, your job is to watch them, see what they do, see how they work, see how they influence people. And when you're a kid, you think, oh, it's a game. So, you know, that's what I did. I watched. And I watched them manipulate people. I watched them attach themselves to people. Michael said, you know, they won't be able to see you, so you don't have to worry about that. So until I was 18 years old, 18, 19, I saw them, you know, all the time and they didn't see me. But that changed when I was in the military and they, you know, I dealt with them for the first time one-on-one, you know.
Really?
And when I was in the military.
You're a nurse, right?
Yeah, that's where I got my nurse's training was. I had 2 years in the Army and 3 in the Air Force. So.
And was this overseas when you had?
No, I wanted to go to Greece because that's where my stepdad was from, and because of the heritage, they wouldn't send me because you know they're talking about security. I'm like, really? What am I going to say?
Right.
You know, let me give you an enema. You know, come on.
But you know,
whatever.
As a nurse, I know a lot of nurses in the military or in the field, and my mom was a respiratory therapist for years, do have some, you know, paranormal kind of encounters sometimes, especially when you're dealing with life and death situations.
Definitely.
You know, I had people die and things like that. So what happened when you were in the military that changed?
My first encounter where it was one-on-one when I dealt with the demon one-on-one was I was working in the emergency room. And we got a call from one of the tech sergeants over on the base. I was stationed at a Strategic Air Command base. And they said, well, we have a man that's been missing for 2.5 days. So we're going to open up his room, and we want you guys to be there. In other words, they expected to find a dead body in there, and they didn't want to deal with it. So it's like, okay. So myself and one of the other techs that I trained, we went together. And the guy opened the room, and the young man was sitting curled up against the wall. I couldn't tell whether he was still breathing or not. So we entered the room, and as I entered the room, I heard a sound, and I looked over and I saw a demon up in the corner of the room waiting. And I told the tech that was with me, I said, we need to get him out of here now. So we put him on the gurney. He was still breathing. He still had a pulse. So we put him on the gurney, took him to the emergency room. And the tech that I was working with, his mom was a voodoo priestess. So she knew what I could do before I really knew what I could do when it came to demons. And she told him, stick with me, don't, make sure you stay close. So we got back to the ER. I went out to get something to start an IV, and I came back in, and the demon was leaning over him, trying to pull the life force out of him. And that's when, for the first time, Ariel, the archangel, who is my soul, came forward and told the demon, this one belongs to us. And it disappeared in a hurry. And so I took care of the young man, and then I found out that somebody had put angel dust in his soda.
Holy God.
Yeah,
Holy God.
He was a chaplain's assistant. He wouldn't hurt a
Oh
fly.
my God.
Yeah, and he was at a party, and somebody did that to him, and he basically went crazy and that's why he was gone for 2.5 days. So before he left, I went up to see him, and he said, I had the weirdest dream. I'm like, really? And he said, yeah. He says, I dreamed that, a demon was trying to take my soul, and that a warrior angel, a female warrior angel, scared it away. I said, oh, well, that's just God's way of telling you, he's got your back, so don't worry about it. And he left the military because of what happened. He was never the same.
Yeah, I bet.
So that was the first time I actually, dealt with it in the way that Ariel came forward and scared it away.
You said you see these things. First, you used to see them as like a black mass, and you said, what was it, 4 years old? It changed?
Yeah, 4.5, it changed, and I no longer saw them that way. I saw them in their true form, which they're kind of a lot like archangels in that way. Archangels are about 7 feet tall. They have a 12-foot wingspan, but that's where the similarities end, because the demons are different shades of grays, blacks, charcoals, and there are no distinguishable features on their face, what passes for a face, except the eyes. And if you look into the eyes, you see every atrocity you can ever imagine 1,000-fold, every evil that you never even thought of.
What are the color of the eyes?
For the old demons and Lucifer, they're golden color. And for the lesser demons, which are the younger ones and the minions, they're red.
Well, you hear a lot of shadow person reports, and mine, I'd seen, most of the time I always just saw it as a black mass when I was being attacked by this thing. Mm-hmm. But it did show its eyes one time, which grew like there's this faint red where the eyes were, but it grew into a whole face, and it was like this faint red, but the face was very bestial that I saw.
Yeah.
But also, the description of the gray makes me think that it almost sounds alien-like, the way you describe it, too. Like, you talk about gray tones.
Well, no, it's because it's more like charcoals, and it's swirling colors. Yeah, swirling colors of black and gray and charcoal. And it's almost like mother of pearl, how it changes color and when you look at it in certain ways. But it's not pretty by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. Well, we talked on the show with all the different drugs like Flocka and the synthetic drugs like synthetic cocaine and all that stuff, that people that would take these things would, it's a drug. You're going out of your mind. But do incredible things like strip naked. We have the one video of the guy stripping naked and like hurling himself at a guy's windshield. If that ain't demonic, I don't know what is. Drugs are bad, okay, but
well, some of the drugs that are created in like Mexico and other countries, they do demonic rituals over them.
Really? I've heard this.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Yes, I've heard this. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
You're right.
Like,
You're right.
So,
You're 100% right.
When somebody takes it, it's like, yeah. And when you take it to that extent, it opens you up to the other side. So you better be careful what you see.
Well, you have the people that do the DMT trips and ayahuasca and stuff like that, and talk about seeing these entities and all that stuff. I'm like, that's cool. And a lot of people, it seems like it helps them, but I don't know if I'd want to take that trip after what I went through. I'm like, I'm cool. I don't need that kind of trip. I don't need that, But imagine being somebody like that. Poor guy has no idea.
Yeah,
he's been slipped a Mickey. That's PTSD causing. That's horrible.
Yeah, that's low life. So for somebody to do that to him.
Some people were literally eating people's faces.
Yeah.
Some guy bit his dog. Some guy tried to eat somebody's arm. That's just not a normal thing for people to do. It's terrifying to me that there can be a drug out there that could make somebody want to bite parts out of people and animals' flesh,
or do
like
other
that.
things, horrible things,
Well, you stop and think about it when you do the rituals over it, and you put some of the demonic energy into it. Anything can happen.
Yeah, some of the original big drug cartels in Mexico back in the 70s to 80s were run by Satanists for sure. Complete, and it's continued this day. like within the cartels.
Yeah, it's like when they were over there in Iran and stuff like that. Well, their holy people were summoning demons and putting them on our boys over there. I worked with a couple that came back. One was a sniper over there, and he came back and he had a demonic attachment. And it was horrible. The poor guy his life was just out of control.
That may explain a lot for soldiers that have had some weird experiences after coming back. If you are dealing with a culture that believes in it, that could curse you, and something attached to you, I mean, or even just a spirit. I mean, I've heard stories of soldiers that felt like they were haunted by the spirits of the men they killed in Vietnam. I've heard of some stories on that. War is hell.
Yeah,
and demons are going to be there.
Oh yeah, anywhere where there's battles, where there's loss of life, great loss of life, they're there because they're drawn to it, and that's the way they are.
Well, for me, I didn't know. I was, 17 when I first encountered this thing, and 18 when I provoked it, and it followed me and 2 other people.
Yeah,
but I didn't know at the time. Yeah, well, I was stupid and young, right? And I didn't know at the time that people had died at the spot. It was these train tracks. It was a bridge, and under that bridge ran another set of tracks. And many 30 years before that point, 3 kids, 11, 12 years old or something like that, were ripped apart on those train tracks. Another kid died on those train tracks. I know somebody committed suicide on those train tracks, supposedly. I didn't know any of that at that time. But obviously, this thing was there because of these deaths, in a sense, I guess, is my only guess of why this thing would be in the middle of nowhere, in a sense.
It's quite common for them to be like in the middle of nowhere, especially because you don't know the history of the land itself. And a lot of the demons build portals, what I call dark portals, where they can come and go at will. And they will go somewhere like this, and they will check on it from time to time to see if there's anybody there that they can influence, someone that they can, harm.
Does causing death, especially by negative purposes or ways, open a portal?
It does. And
that's what I wondered.
Yeah, unfortunately, especially when it involves a demon, people, some of the things that, like when you come down into the physical world again, you reincarnate, certain things are set in stone. The date you come in, the date you leave, and the method in which you leave. But that's the only part that's set in stone. The rest is all free will. So say you're going to die at like 10 o'clock on February 27th, 1984, and you're going to die of a heart attack. Okay? So you know that. But you don't know who's with you when you die. You don't know where you are when you die. And you don't know what causes the heart attack either.
I would just like to not know anything on that, but right?
Right, but so it is what it is. That's like people say, well, somebody will commit suicide, and they say, oh, well, maybe if I had been there, or if I had, known or whatever, that I could have stopped it. But no, you can't. People are meant to go the way they're meant to go.
But what if these entities disrupt that?
They cannot. That's one of the things that they cannot do. They cannot change the outcome of an individual's death or birth. They have the ability to see your future. So they know if you're going to be a light worker. They know if you're going to be like me, if you're going to be like a demon slayer. But, and they will try to prevent that in any way that they can.
But then they also know if somebody's going to be potentially a murderer.
Yeah, they also know that. They whisper.
I'm just looking at how, in the sense of like is a free will and choice.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There is that. Yeah.
And that they can, if their purpose is to mislead people or choose them down a path of darkness, that they are in some way disrupting that person's purpose here.
Well, like I said, everything in between is free will. The time you leave, the method in which you leave, and the time you come in. Everything else is, the reason why demons will have a tendency to attack, the living is because we're at the most vulnerable. We're in physical bodies because the soul is internal, and they want to make it hell on earth for us. They want to make the experience of living that lifetime as miserable as possible.
Why?
You have to go back to the beginning when there was no hell. We were all light beings, and then we had physical form, and I sound like Star Wars, in a galaxy far, far away, and we evolved over years, and we used to be warring, we used to do disease infested, and we evolved to the point where our whole purpose in life was the pursuit of knowledge. And we went beyond that until we evolved into pure energy. And once everyone evolved into pure energy, we started traveling the galaxies, seeing things, seeing everything, seeing planets being created, seeing them die, suns, physical beings being born, created, things like that. And then we did that for billions of years. And then we got tired of it. We've seen everything we could see. We've done everything. We would like to have physical bodies again. We would like to have children, to know love, physical love. And there was a group led by Lucifer who said, no way, that's not happening. We do not want to be subject to living in a shell, subject to pain, subject to growing old, disease, none of that. We don't want it. So Lucifer and his followers rose up against God and the Legion of Light, which is Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Ariel. And they lost. Lucifer was disarmed by Michael, and Lucifer's son was disarmed by Ariel. And God said, you know what? You're right, I am too lenient. You cannot live among us anymore. And he opened a rift into a dark realm. He said, this is your new kingdom. And he put them all in there. And at first they were happy with it. They're like, yeah, Lucifer's like, okay, this is my kingdom. I'm going to rule. Everything's going to be cool. But then over the centuries, they've grown vindictive, resentful, full of anger, and they want revenge. And what better way to get revenge than to attack you when you're at your most vulnerable in a human body, the human condition? And they've learned how to create dark portals to open up doorways into our world. And they do that quite well. But there are also white light portals out there, the ones where the souls go, the good souls go home to. So it's like, they're pissed. That's just in a nutshell,
Well, the thing I dealt with was very sadistic, and it fed off my fear, my insecurities. Mm-hmm. It fed off it like a parasite.
Oh, yeah. All negative entities feed off negative emotions, negative, fear, jealousy, depression, anger. They feed off of all of that. Whereas the light beings, they don't need that. They get their energy from the white light realm, so they don't need it. But the dark ones do.
People who are drinkers or use drugs or sick all the time.
Right. Yeah. And they're the most vulnerable if you stop and think about it. People that have they're attracted to people with substance abuse issues, if they grow up in an abusive household, they have no self-confidence, they don't know where they fit in, they feel like an outsider. These are all things that attract these negative entities to an individual. I've been doing this for, 48 years.
I've seen them attracted to negative people. Like bad people seem to know what victims to pick.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
It's like they give off that energy. They know that this person's going to be an easy target.
Right. And they're also attracted to, there are over 300,000 warrior angels born into physical right now. And they if they come across a physical body which has a warrior angel in it, or an archangel, or an angel of any kind, they will try to suppress the angel, keep it from coming forward, keeping it from, basically asleep in the dark, so that that angel cannot fulfill its duty and the reason it's here in this physical world. And I've helped over 3,000 warrior angels and other angels in the last 3 or 4 years. But people with angelic energy are drawn to other people with angelic energy, and I tell them their soul's name, their angel's name. I tell them what their specialty is, and what they need to do.
Well, I feel lucky I got out of it when I was 18 because I basically humbled myself before God. I couldn't talk or scream when this thing was paralyzed and levitating me up off my bed, but I in my mind, I'm like, I'm so sorry, God. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me, help me. And it literally was like, gone. Flashlight, this thing screamed and was gone. And then I think I saw somebody that looked like a great-grandfather of mine walk into the room. But I was saved. I felt like I was protected for whatever reason. I sometimes feel like, well, why did I get protected while I've seen other people just harassed? These things follow them.
Well, because you did humble yourself. And God said, go help him. And that's why, there are battles going on. People talk about spiritual warfare. I'm in the middle of it. I can't tell you how many battles that I've fought. And we do it in a totally different realm of existence. We fight the negatives. It's negatives against the positives. And when I'm there, I merge with Ariel so that I can see everything, hear everything. And occasionally she will get injured. And when I get back from the battle, I'll have like an injury to like a hand. Like this last battle, I got an injury to my hand and my arm, but it goes away in a few days. So I just ignore it. It's part of what I do, and you move on.
Now, for people, I mean, there's different levels when you get into people are either being affected by a negative entity or demonic. I never like to call mine demonic. I don't know. I believe in God and a higher power, but I'm not, reverted to Christianity or anything like that. I actually do believe in Jesus Christ, but I don't call myself a Christian or anything like that. Negative entity or demonic, there's different levels. Like, people are being either, harassed, you could be being harassed by them. You could have an infestation. You could have the full-on possession. And I always loved the Art Bell Malachi Martin interviews when he talked about the perfectly possessed, those who showed no signs of possession and walk around just fine being perfectly possessed. I'd love to get into that topic as well.
Yeah, I call them human demons.
Human demons. Are they born that way?
No, they are not born that way.
How do they become perfectly possessed?
It can be different things. Sometimes it's as simple as being in the wrong place at the right time. And people don't understand that demons can jump from one person to another. And they don't always attach themselves right away. They will usually it's the little creepy crawly dudes that find you. I liken them to, they used to call them imps in the old days. Right. I call them creepy crawlies because that's what they look like. Since I was a kid, that's what I call them.
I've seen that on a couple different investigations. Number one place, it was a creepy crawly like shadow thing like that was at Crown Point Jail that a number of people saw.
Yeah, then they will go and they will look for people, for their master, either a lesser demon or an old demon, so that they can, watch them. They can watch you for months, weeks, years before they decide, oh, this person's perfect for my boss. And they run and tell their boss. And then the boss doesn't take their word for it, though, because then the boss watches and learns. And they learn your weaknesses, your strengths.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, learn if you're easily influenced, if you have strong faith, what's important to you, what's not important to you.
So this thing showed itself as a black mass. Sometimes it'd be, normal height. Sometimes it'd be small. Sometimes it'd be really tall. A lot of times tall, and it'd hover over me. But there's one time I felt another entity showed up, like it was this thing's boss.
Yep.
When you said that, and it was when I was standing out smoking a cigarette. Sorry, Mom. snuck out to smoke a cigarette, and I heard crackling in the woods, and I see somebody walk out of the woods, and I think it's a real person because I heard the crackling of the sticks, like somebody walking out, and I froze, and he had like a top hat. Like, it was like I thought a person was wearing a top hat. This is before I ever knew about Hat Man. I'd heard about shadow people. By this point, I'd been listening to our bill, but I hadn't heard about Hat Man or anything like that. So I put that off my mind, but I remember being frozen in fear, and I'm like, this thing basically walked up to me like, what you going to do?
Yeah.
And then turned around, walked right back in the woods and disappeared.
Yeah.
And, like, it was just like, okay, like it was checking me out.
Yeah, like here I am. You can't do a damn thing about it. And he decided that you weren't good enough for him, and he walked away.
Yeah, that's what I wonder. It was a weird, out of that few months of being terrorized by this thing, that was one of the many weird experiences during that period of time. Like, this thing would rip me out of my body at night and show me things.
Oh, yeah. No problem with that. They do it all the time.
And I think the last time it came after me, I was fighting back from it doing that. And that's why I was levitated up off my bed, because I was internally fighting this thing from doing it anymore. And I'd sworn that night I was going to fight it. I put that intention in my mind. I'm not letting it take me anymore.
Yeah, one of the things I learned when I died and went to the other side, I was hit on my motorcycle and went to the other side. Oh, my God. Yeah, somebody ran a red light. I was making a left turn and just trashed my bike. Damn it, trashed my bike. But I ended up in the hospital. I was clinically dead for 2 minutes on the sidewalk. Wow. And the cop was there trying to figure out what to do next. And I came back. And that's when, I went to the other side, and Michael says, you're here because you need to understand who and what you are. I said, yeah, I'm just me. And he said, no. He said, your soul is Ariel, the archangel. She is a demon slayer. You need to return and do the work that you're supposed to be doing. You haven't been doing it yet, but you're going to begin. And I'm like, oh, good. You can't give me something, nice. You give me this, nasty stuff, And I said, why do you give me the nasty stuff? And he says, because Ariel loves doing it, and she's excellent at it, and that's what you're going to do. That's what you're here for. That's why your body was created to hold her. So I came back and I start thinking about it, and I'm like, you didn't even give me an instruction manual, man,
Well, it's interesting you said your body was made to hold it, because that's what I've always wondered about even demonic possession, is that when you see somebody who's under demonic possession, they're usually, sick. Somebody's under they're physically ill, sick, somebody that's under possession, something trying to possess them, I should say. Unlike a perfectly possessed person walks around and they're just normal.
Yes.
Are there certain demons, like, it doesn't matter how much this person's, it controls or has it, it's going to burn that body up because that body's not going to hold that demon's power. But in another person, they're generational. They've been bred, in a sense, to hold that demon.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about curses and, the curse. And I'm like, it's not like Hollywood. There's only 2 reasons for what we call a curse. One is, you piss somebody's great ancestor off, and they've decided they're going to haunt you for the rest of your life, and then they'll move on to your son's life, and the next one, and the next one. So that's generational curse. Or it's a demon who can do exactly the same thing, because there's no time on the other side. So they can outlast you no matter what.
Well, what I'm saying is what, like, Father Malachi hinted to, and others in this realm, is that there are families that are generational on purpose. That these families have, like, what they'd call a family familiar spirit, and they pass this down to their children. This demon, in a sense.
Well, yeah,
purposely, knowingly.
It's very rare for that to happen. It's usually unknown. Or they think that they can't do anything to stop it. And the demon will facilitate that by saying, you can't stop me. You're never going to be free, and I'll take your child as well. And you feel helpless, like you have no way out. Nothing. You can't do anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, like, there's lesser form demons. Obviously, there's a hierarchy here. You're talking about the boss. Yeah. That some of these demons, are they all fallen angels, or some of them fallen angels and the rest are something else.
No, they're all at one time or another fallen angels. There is a hierarchy. There are the ancient demons who are older than dirt. And then you have Lucifer and the old demons. And then you have the lesser demons. I kind of call them hormonal teenagers because they're the ones you're most likely to find in the physical world, creating chaos and causing destruction. And then there are the minions, which are, the creepy crawly dudes, the shadow people, the harpies, and then there are the ones that are supposed to remain, the watchers. They're supposed to remain impartial, but some of them do not always remain impartial.
But in a sense, they're all fallen. They're
all nasty. Yeah, they're all pissed off. Yeah.
Well, the reason I ask that is we've thought about it for years on this show and talked about is, people that report seeing powerful political people or media people or people who shapeshift. I talk about Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins. Talk about twice he's in an interview talked about seeing a lady in the music industry show him her true form, which was a lizard woman. Billy Corgan doesn't make a lot of Alex Jones appearances or stuff like that. He was saying this like on Howard Stern or some show. It was kind of out of the wall. So there are people that have these experiences, and I wonder, is that a form of demonic perfect possession, and they can manifest that way?
Yeah, what that is though, you have to understand that demons go into your mind. They can make you see, hear, feel, taste, touch, anything, and it doesn't exist. Because they go right into your brain. I've had to remove some from people's brains. They go into the limbic system, which is the deepest, darkest part of the brain. And they sit there and they control from there. People talk about, possession and being 24/7. That's not entirely true unless there's more than one demon. Because demons hate to be in a shell. Oh, God, they hate to be in a shell. But so it will come and go. If there's just a single demon, it will come and go. And that's why people will be perfectly normal sometimes and then be perfectly not normal the other times. But if you have, I was called in on a case where there were 11 demons in this woman. And I had to do the exorcism. But they would come and go at random. And I did a show called Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis. And this woman got a hold of me and she said, I'm possessed. I've been possessed for 20 years. They come and go, things like that. And right. I'm like, okay, send me a picture. Because once I see the picture, I can tell you exactly what's there.
A picture of herself?
Yeah.
Basically?
I can tell you what's there. And I'm like, oh, crap, she's right. So I took a friend of mine who's an ordained minister, and then the other girl that's part of my group, Ghosts and Girls. And I told them, I said, you need to prepare because this is something you've never been in on. This is something you need to understand. You need to experience. And God told me, you need to ask him to go with you. Aaron is my friend's name, who's the ordained minister. He says, you need to ask him to go. He fears the dark ones. And he cannot do the work and fear the dark ones. So all three of us went. We knocked on the door. I knocked on the door, and the demon was in possession. One of the demons was in possession at that time. She opened the door, and she told me in Aramaic to get the hell out and slammed the door. Her eyes were totally black. And my friends are looking at me like, what the heck? And I'm like, don't worry about it. It's just a demon. Knock again.
You saw her eyes turn totally black?
Yeah, they were black the minute she opened the door. I'm like, don't worry about it. Knocked the door again, and she was in control for the moment. And so we went inside. It took me about 3 hours from start to finish. Usually it doesn't take that long, but there were so many of them in there. And we got to the last one, and I went in. I can go into the demon's brain and find out what it's been doing, why it's there, what its motives are, why it picked this individual person. And I found out that it was given a job by Lucifer. And it just blew Lucifer off and didn't do it and just went on its merry way. And you don't do that to Lucifer. And So it hid out in this woman with the other ones. And I told it, I said, you can go home to the light if you're truly repentant. I said, if you want to go home, I will ask Jesus to come for you. And it seemed to, like, I can go home? I said, yes, if you're truly repentant, you can go home. I said, you'll have to pay for what you've done, but you can go back to the light. And I said, Jesus, come forth. And my friends are standing in front of me, and they part as this huge hand comes out. I just saw Jesus's hand. They saw that it was so bright they could hardly look at it. And it came out towards the woman. And the demon at the last minute said, no, you're lying. I can never go home. And I said, so be it. I said, Lucifer, come forth. And my friends saw this entity appear at the end of the hallway. To them, they saw, this black shadow type person that was blacker than black. It had like a fedora, double-breasted suit, spats. No, not quite.
No?
No, not quite. And it emanated, the power that it had. And it came towards me, and Ariel was still forward, and she said, this is one of yours. And Lucifer looked at the woman and told the demon, you're coming with me. And the demon said, no, I'm not. I'll kill her on the way out. So Lucifer turned and looked at me and said, I know you don't want me to harm the woman, so I will be back for him tonight. So and then he turned around and walked down the hall and disappeared. My friends are freaking out in the meantime. And I said, he's going to come for this one later. So we talked to her, and we all went home. And my friend on the way home, he says, just for a split second when you summoned Lucifer, he said, I thought you'd lost your mind. He said, and then I remembered who and what you were. And he said that it was okay, that I had this sense of peace. He said, I've always known that Jesus existed. I've always known that the devil existed. But to see them literally both in the same place at the same time, he says, I still can't get over it. And that was like 7 years ago, and he still can't get over it. But I called her that we all woke up at 3 a.m. in our respective beds and heard Lucifer say it's done. So I called her the next day, and she said, I haven't felt empty like this in 20 years. I said, well, please get some, counseling. I said, you have PTSD after having these things for 20 years. So she got counseling. But you're never the same again.
Yeah. Especially if you had it for 20 years or whatever. It's
Most of the time it would let her do what she had to do to survive.
Because it was hiding in her.
Oh yeah, they were hiding.
I find that interesting that that in this hierarchy, whatever, that demons can revolt or do whatever they want or try to do whatever they want.
There are rogue demons, yes.
Is that why they hide? Do they hide in objects besides people? Because you hear about objects being possessed by demons.
Yeah, they can hide
homes.
They can hide in an object. They can hide in the ground, a tree, a person, an animal. But usually they won't stay there for any length of time. They'll come and go. And you hear of places where, people will say, "Oh, nobody can live on that land. It's cursed," or "Nobody can live here," or "You'll have to move because you can't live here because nobody should live here." Well, usually in a location like that, what it is a demon is entombed in the ground, just like at Alcatraz. I went down there. I'm like, really? There's a demon that's entombed under the rock. And it's entombed there because Lucifer entombed it. And it knows better than try to break free because Lucifer will kill it, plain and simple. So it would rather live under the rock than die.
Is this why Native Americans would build kind of burial mounds in certain areas they'd try to stay away from? Like you talk about the mountains and stuff like that. And some they would say there were giants buried there or stuff like that, that these are really places where demons...
Yeah, where demons were skinwalkers, demons.
Yeah, because, you get all this weird stuff that happens, people seeing dogmen and lights or UFOs and all weird kinds of strangeness in these areas.
Yeah,
and
I got called into a case up in Battleground, Washington. A husband and wife had bought this home like 3 years prior. And the wife started getting sick after they moved into the home. And she started seeing things. And she was telling her husband, I'm seeing this. And he thought, it's just her imagination. And she ended up with a rare form of cancer that 1 in every 10 billion people could get. And she'd never, ever been sick in her life.
Yeah.
Basically, the demons do that to you. They'll kill. So she died, and her soul remained trapped there. And I told the guy, I said, you have to understand. I said, this demon was entombed in the ground. I said, your house is setting on Spook Central here because this is where he's entombed. They started building new houses in the area, and they disturbed him. And he said he had a paranormal group that came in and gave him crystals and said, put them in all 4 corners of your house. It'll protect you. And I laughed. And he's like, I go, okay. He said, the demon attacked me that night in bed, when we had a bed, raked its nails down him. And every one of those crystals were broken in half the next morning.
Oh, wow.
I told him, I said, that crystal can't do anything to help you. I said, it amplifies whatever energy is put into it, whether it's good or bad. I said, but there are very few things that will stop a demon. And I said, I've been doing this all my life, so I can tell you from experience that that's not going to help you. So I ended up removing the demon. I actually sent it back to Lucifer because Lucifer had entombed it, and it was not supposed to leave its jail cell, so to speak. But once it was released, Lucifer killed.
You would think Lucifer would be like, all I want is, destruction, evil, the typical bad guy kind of deal. Like, why would he care? Why would he want to help that girl with the demon and take it away? Or why would he entomb those demons there?
Because they go against him. If they go rogue or they go against him, he's like any king of old. It's, if you go against me, I'm going to kill your ass. Or
so what are the demons doing for him that are obeying him? Then, like, what is he up to?
Most of the old demons don't bother anybody, except for what you'll find against. What you'll find against world leaders. What you'll find attached to them are usually old demons.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, what better way to influence as many people as possible is either president of a company or a corporation or a religious leader, anything like that. I mean, you think about how many people they can influence, really. You stop and think about it.
Morgan asks, what can people do better to protect themselves from evil?
Well, if evil wants to find you, they're going to find you. I mean, people tell, I have friends that are Reiki masters, and they tell me, we're taught not to read about it, not to talk about it, not to think about it, because it'll draw it to you. And it's like I told them, I said, you don't have to. If they want you, they know where to find you. I mean, really, if you have an angelic soul, they'll try to bother you. But really, the only protection you can have is to do good and to not harm others and to have, I'm not going to say, send love and light, because that won't help. But just to live in the light of whatever, spiritual, whether you're a Christian or whether you're a Buddhist, whatever you are, it's whatever you believe in, whatever you have faith in. That's all I can say. Because if a demon wants to find you, they're going to find you. But 9 times out of 10, you're not worth their time and effort. And the ones that you do find in the physical world that are attached to people are the younger ones, the lesser demons. They're like hormonal teenagers. They like to cause chaos and destruction and distension in the world.
Well, the part I get about the world leaders, though, is like, if there's an influence over them, something demonic, like that, or something evil, or another, entities controlling Lucifer or whatever, is that they can cause the most sinister chaos. And say they get a worldwide destruction. Is that the plan? Or, are they trying to? You said they're trying to create hell on earth. Why are they going to? They're not going to get much with the small peons. They get a guy out and do some horrible, evil acts, but in the end, the big plan's got to be those guys, the world leaders, the things that's happening in the world.
That's true. That they're out to influence them, but also if man blows himself up, they won't have nobody to cause problems to.
Right. That's my thought. Like, do they want the end of the world? Maybe not. They like the party.
Yeah,
I think they'd want the party to keep going on.
Yeah, they like the party. Yeah, that's for sure. Lucifer and I have had our conversations, and I have a friend that's in. There are 7 of us archangels in the world today, born in physical, and I know where they all are. But I have a friend in Glasgow, and he has Hanel, the archangel, within him. And Hanel and Lucifer used to be best buds before the war. And he doesn't bear him any malice because he fought for what he believed in. And so from time to time, Lucifer will go and visit Hanel. And one time he asked him, he says, I asked Lucifer what he thought of, my friend calls me Anti-Ariel, and he said, do you know what his response was? I said, what? He says, respect the assassin. I said, yeah, because he knows Ariel could even take him out if she needed to. But it's like the old saying that better the devil you know than the one you don't.
So you go out and try to help people that are being demonically inflicted or possessed and all that. How often, I mean, does this only happen to adults? You have to help children? Do children get harassed, or what happens with children? Are they protected? Or
usually, it's usually teenagers, not so much babies and little kids, because really, what can they do for them? They can't drive. They can't do anything, really big. So they stick with like the teenagers and things like that. They will try to make them act out. They'll try to make them do things that are life periling, put their lives in peril, create chaos within the family, distension, all kinds of things like that. But they do attach themselves once in a while to children. And I had a few cases. I can do removals from a distance. All I need is a picture of a location or an individual. And I literally go there. It's like people talk about, remote viewing.
Right.
But I remote go. I remote go there and see what's there. I can walk through their homes. I can look at the land. I can walk the land and see what's there, and then remove it. If it takes more than one, if there's more than one demon, usually the Legion will go with me, Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. So, we're always travel together. We always take care of business.
When you do this remotely, I mean, you're like doing somebody's like they think they have something in their house or on them. You're doing it remotely. I mean, how long does it take you?
Minute or two.
Minute or two?
Yeah.
And you can clear it? You can clear
it? Yeah, because half the time, demons are a lot like humans in some ways. They don't look beneath the surface. They think that, just like the demon that was entombed in Battleground, they see a human body. They don't look beneath to see what's in there. They the thing was calling me everything but a white person. My friends are going up the stairs, and it tried to push my friend's wife down the stairs, and it reached in to grab Aaron's heart and squeeze it to try to stop his heart. And I knocked it away. But me, it didn't know. It's like, you be, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to, shred you and stuff like that. And I'm like, I just laugh. It's like, whatever, get a grip, and then when Ariel comes forward, they want to be anywhere but where she is. It's like, the Legion of Light is kind of like an elite Navy SEAL team. They are the best of the best. They train the warrior angels to kill demons, to to remove demons, to send them back into the dark. So they train all the demon slayers.
But they're all angels now being born on Earth, like you.
Well, like I said, there are 7 of us right now. But usually archangels do not incarnate. But it's only because God said, you have something to do. With Ariel, this is her 131st lifetime. And the reason she was sent back, which she hates, is because in 1198 AD, a woman cried out to God and said, help me, I'm possessed by a demon. And God sent Ariel to do the removal. And when she reached in and she ripped the demon out of the woman's body, and the body died, and the soul was released into the light. And it made God angry because he says, you have no thought for the human being. You have no compassion, for them. And Ariel argued and said, this woman summoned the demon, and then she wants me to take it away. She wants you to take it away because she made her own bed. She needs to lie in it, And God said, no. You're going to go down and live human lives until you learn to have compassion. And, well, this is life number 131, so she's finally learned, but look how many lifetimes it took.
All right, well, we gotta go to commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna open up the phone lines. You good taking calls from the audience?
Oh, yeah.
All right, awesome. Now, you being a psychic medium, people are gonna try to ask you, can you delve in? Or, it's up to you. You let the audience know what you're willing to talk about or do with the callers when we come back.
Okay.
You can give your kind of rules out. I let anybody do that because people will ask, like, what do you see? What do you see about me? You know how it goes.
Yep.
So we'll let you give out stipulations of what people will do before they call in. But we'll open up the phone lines, guys, when we come back from the short commercial break. Call in with our guest tonight, June Lundgren, psychic medium, demon seer, animal communicator, all that and above tonight with our guest, June Lundgren, after this short commercial break.
Conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
The city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID oojblandoo or jblandparanormalsoup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is June Lundgren. She is a psychic medium, animal communicator, demon seer, international paranormal investigator, and author. She's written A Medium's Guide to the Paranormal, Paranormal Encounters 1 and 2, and The Dark Side of the Paranormal, plus many other books. And we are talking about the dark side of the paranormal. Yes, demon. We're getting into the dark entities. You have to realize when you come down to this field, you start having experiences that there's a possibility you could run into something that follows you home that isn't so nice. You never know. So you should be aware of these things. I mean, love, light, all that stuff. But there is a dark side out there. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Now, the phone lines are going to be open. I'm going to have June give out what she's willing to do. Like, because I know a lot of you guys are, psychic medium, I'm going to call in and get a reading. You only got a few minutes. There's only so much a psychic can do. And I don't know if she's going to do readings. We'll let her give you all those stipulations for your phone call. But if you want to talk about your experiences, if you had something attached to you or follow you home, June is definitely the lady you want to talk to tonight. We got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get back to our guest. Thank you, June, for hanging out with us this late on your birthday. All right, so let me see. The phone lines are now open. You can call in. Let me get the phone lines up on here. June, if people call in, they're going to ask, are you going to give me a reading or whatever? What do you willing to talk to a guest about tonight, or callers, I should say?
If they have a problem with an entity or something like that, it's fine. My problem with giving a reading over the airwave, so to speak, is what if there's something negative. I'm the type of person, if you come to me for a reading, I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not going to hold. Yeah, and I believe it to be personal. If there's something that's going to happen, like, don't go here or don't go there, or this is what's going to happen or this is what's coming, I'm going to tell you. And the reason I'm going to tell you is because maybe to prevent things from happening.
Well, no holds bars, right? People call in, just be prepared. Right? So, doing this now, you is this like an everyday interaction for you? You walk down the street and you see attachments to people.
Oh yeah, if they're not causing any kind of problem, I'll warn them. Then they don't want to be near me. So I will warn them, you better stop that and head out because I'll kill you. No problem. One night I came out of my work at the clinic, and it's like a dead end road that ends at the clinic, and it's like 7 o'clock at night. It's dark. It's the winter time, and there's this demon standing at the end of the road. I'm like, you know what? Go away. I said, this is not the OK Corral. I will kill your ass and be done with it. I said, because I'm tired, I'm grouchy, and I've just worked a 12-hour day. Leave me alone. It left.
You don't mess with you after 12-hour shift, right?
No.
Well, I mean, I always, I grew up around a hospital, an old one. But I always felt there's a lot of light and darkness in a hospital, that there's a lot of, there's good things maybe hanging around a hospital. There are also bad things too.
Oh yeah, because the care facilities, residential treatment areas, hospitals, mental institutions, they like to hang out in those places. It's like it's a hunting ground for them. Like when I was in the military, I would have to go into the dirty utility room to get rid of the demon. It's like, you can't do it out there in the patient's room. So you have to tuck yourself away and do it. Because it's like, really? And they're like, what are you doing in here? Oh, nothing. Yeah, just making sure everything gets cleaned,
Just cleaning up demons?
Yeah, just cleaning up, that's all. Taking the trash out,
We do have a phone call. Somebody just called in. Who do we got on the line?
James from Northwest Indiana.
Hey, James. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Ava. How's it going? Hi, June. Hi. Paranormal Soup's game, everybody. I guess I had a question about portals, and if it related to what I might have seen. And I had a couple major experiences, but one was with a huge owl that was bigger than I am and a lot wider.
Right.
And I don't know if that was portal related. And then in the same town, I don't know if this is also portal related. I ran into Bigfoot with several other stuff moving around the woods, which I don't know what those other ones were. I just got to see one.
But you saw this big giant owl. I think I remember this call before. You've called in to talk about this.
Yeah, it was bigger than like if you went around and tried to hug an oak tree. It was like, I don't know if it was just fluff and show, but it was like that wide.
Well, it's usually.
But I didn't know if it was.
Yeah, it's usually what it is they can make you see what they want you to see. They can represent themselves as anything. They can make you see them as a teddy bear. They can make you see them, as a saber-toothed lion or something like that. It's whatever they want to show themselves as. They look into your mind and they project it in there. So the owl was probably a representation. It could have been, earthbound spirits can do the same thing.
Good. I think originally it was going for a raccoon, but then we scared it away. So I think it turned on me. So I don't know if that changes anything, but yeah, I mean, the Bigfoot experience was crazy, and it had weird noises that came with it. I could also feel like shock waves in my heart that the other guy that was there couldn't feel, and that super worried me before it got even more intense. But are these things just coming out of a portal, or are you saying that demons project themselves as Bigfoot and these other cryptids?
No, Bigfoot actually exists. I've run into one in Trout Lake, Washington. But, they communicate telepathically. And they don't want to have anything at all to do with us, plain and simple. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, fine,
Don't blame them.
I'm not going to bother you. It's like I'm moving on.
I wouldn't want to have anything to do with humans either.
Yeah. Usually,
right.
The Sasquatch they're living creatures, so they're living people.
Yeah, I know. It seemed like the same thing. We interrupted their feeding and was just in the middle of.
Get out of my territory. Get out of my territory. You're in my backyard.
When you first called in about the owl, you know, what I thought of when you talk about giant owl, I just think of like Bohemian Grove and Moloch that they worship. It's a big giant owl statue.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Yeah, that worried me too.
Yeah. I don't know what you saw, man. It's big giant owl. I mean, I told you it was screen memory. You've been abducted. I don't know. I really don't know.
You're right. That kind of worries me too. That maybe it was something even more than what it was. But okay, thank you. I don't want to waste any more time, and I appreciate it. I just didn't know if it was portal related. Thanks a lot. Have a good night. Bye.
Well, you know, with Bigfoot, we talked about on the show, there's still weird paranormal stuff that happens around Bigfoot. You know, I mean, maybe it's because of their telepathic abilities or not, but weird stuff that it's more than just sometimes this cryptid experience of like some unidentified creature out there. There's weird paranormal things that happen around. And then you get into the whole dogmen thing.
Yeah,
you know, people seeing werewolf-like creatures.
Yeah, like at Trout Lake, Washington. I mean, it's a place where there's a lot of UFO stuff. There's a lot of, paranormal stuff. There's a lot of Sasquatch sightings. You know, it's a hodgepodge of different things.
What about missing people? Are there a lot of missing people in that area also?
Yeah, and it's, there are portals to other times and things like that. People don't understand, you can go through a portal. It's kind of like, but only it's not. I usually actually call them vortexes because the vortex is different. It actually, you can go to a different time, a different location. It's like, okay, think of Star Trek, wormhole, that type of thing, Oh,
I can think a lot of Star Trek.
Yeah.
We got another caller now. It says spam risk. We're going to take the risk. Who do we got on the line?
Risk. It's Adrian from Connecticut. Hi, Jason.
What, are you calling me on a different phone number at all?
Well, no.
They tried to tell me you were a spam risk. You're a spam risk, Adrian. You're spamming me.
My phone is tapped half the time anyways. Yeah. I can tell. I get my phone cut off, and yeah, they like my paranormal life. So June, it's wonderful. Thank you for what you do.
You're welcome.
It's amazing. Gutsy. I'm calling because I assume a lot of things. I've had numerous experiences in my life. I do try and help people. I'm not anywhere near the caliber of you. Being a spirit medium, and when I do readings for people, a lot of people have problems and they seem to end up in my lap, and I try and help them, and that's how I got into it. But one particular question I wanted to ask you, because my late husband, I know he had a demon. I could see it in his eyes, behavior and all that once in a while. He was in home hospice here, right upstairs. This is back in 2017. 2 days before he died, I know a demon came out because it jumped me. And he was across the hallway from where I was, and it squished me down the bed like a piece of sandwich meat in the bread and pulled the covers over my head, but I have no fear. Mm-hmm. I was already swearing at it when I felt this invisible, massive freight train of whatever it was, dread coming through, and I was already feeling like I was defeating it and protecting myself before it did that. But two questions. Is it typical for a demon to leave its host before the host dies?
Yes. It's quite common because they can't control, it's like, oh, the body's going, I'm going to move on to somebody else.
Why would it stick around for that, right?
Yeah, exactly. No more fun and games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I assumed that, but yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay, number 2, I was aware of what happened, and because of what I went through my childhood, I had absolutely no fear. And thank goodness for one TV show with this other lady who said, if you have a spirit coming at you, start swearing your head off. And that was the first thing that came to mind, because I had about 3/4 of a second between, what was going to happen.
Right.
And so afterwards, I don't know, I probably saged myself or something like that. But what do you do? And how can you tell if you've actually rid yourself of any energies, or if you've been jumped like that, is it still in me? How do you find these things out?
A lot of times, I would say, I've been doing this for like 48, 49 years. The best thing to do is usually they'll leave behind some form of negative energy. It's absorbed if it's in a location, it's absorbed in the porous surfaces of the home, the ground. It will also, because you were living in the home, you would have some residual energy as well within you. And the best way to do it is, well, I usually will just clear somebody. You know, when I remove something, I'll just go in and clear somebody. It takes an angelic being to actually clear you of anything and everything. And I can tell right now that you do still have some residual there. So if you just send me an email with a picture, I'll get rid of it for you. I'll clear your house and I'll clear you.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, because I've had a lot of different incidences, and I can tell nothing would ever scare me, but there's a something wrong with my solar plexus.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never used to flinch, and once in a while I'll flinch now, and I went, damage.
Yeah.
So I will do that. I'll send you an email.
Residual damage, collateral damage.
Yeah. That was a whole nother thing. That was cursed paintings, but that's what that happened from. But that was a bad one.
That's a freaky one.
All right.
That's a freaky one that that was years ago. I remember that, the cursed painting deal.
There's two of them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a freaky one.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even have to touch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even have to touch those for it to give me trouble. So woof.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you. I will email you, June.
Well, what's the email for people to email you, June?
AURIEL 1198 AD at proton.me.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that because I just got a pen.
Okay.
Ariel.
With a U. AURIEL 1198 AD, the letter AD, at proton.me.
Proton.
And then you also they will also contact you.
Send a photo
too on the Ghost and Girls Paranormal. So there's ghostandgirlsparanormal.com is your website too. People could visit.
One of them, yeah. The main one is mysticconnections.org.
Oh, mysticconnections.org.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Great call.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, I always say, when it comes to this stuff too, you can do haunted houses and all that, but if you run across something you think is demonic, don't try to take it on your own.
You just should never, if somebody comes across something that's demonic, obviously demonic, do not acknowledge it. To acknowledge it is to make it see you, and you do not want it to see you.
Yeah, see, that's where I messed up, I think, with my thing, is I
Yeah,
challenged it.
if
I
you
saw
would have
it
ignored it, yeah, it would have.
Well, after the first time seeing it when I was 17, over a year period, I kept having dreams about the location, this thing calling me out there, and it did it to my friend, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it spent some time to recruit us to bring us out there to mess with us. We got another caller on the line. Who do we got?
Hey, this is Sean.
Hey, Sean, thanks for calling in.
Hey, no problem, guys. I've watched your show a bit here, and I thought it'd be interesting to call in. I have a pretty, you can call me an experiencer. I've experienced a lot of things, particularly over the last few years. I'd be interested in bringing forth this question to you, June, to see kind of what your thoughts are. Maybe you've had other people talk about such experiences, maybe not. Maybe you give me some insight.
Okay.
What I wanted to ask, what I wanted to ask was, so what happened, this is the first major experience, is at about the age of 9, there were 5 brief memories I had before this point. Very brief, we're talking about maybe a few minutes of experiences, of like being aware, being conscious. But at the age of 9, I wake up on my bed, laying out on my bed. I come away, I kind of sit up. I have like some sort of instruction manual to go downstairs and see my family and begin learning everyone's names, because I didn't know my brother's names, my parents' names, or my own name.
How old were you? 9?
Past life.
Age of 9.
Past life. A lot of times the past life will come forward and you'll not know who you are, what you're doing there. A lot of people have experiences like that when past life intrudes upon present lifetime.
Okay, yeah. A lot of people said I was a walk-in. I came in here into his body from somewhere else, another point. So that I just kind of seem to jive with it.
Yeah, it's past life, definitely.
Okay, because the amount of stuff I've experienced has been quite extreme, especially in the last just few years. I eventually came to Christ after I've encountered real evil several times. I mean, like legit, real supernatural evil. One of the things I had that happened before I came to Christ was I had a surgery. I was, and no one really has had an experience like this reported to them. So I had a surgery. It was not a life-threatening surgery, but a surgery I had to be put on anesthesia for, so knocked out for it. And right before I woke up, I'm sitting at a dried riverbed. And I've kind of gotten the answer for this, but I'm always wanting to hear some other opinions and options. Always keep it broad. But I'm sitting at a dried riverbed, and across from me is what I would call a black dragon. Right? It's about the mass. You put two of your biggest bulls you've seen together, body mass-wise, that's about the size of this being. Sitting here, it was very positive. He had just finished some sort of high-level conversation. And he kind of gave me a nodding look to his head position to me, and I went, oh, no, I'm going back. And I wake up instantly in my body, being wheeled out of the surgery room.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had any insight on that? I've pretty much been given the answer because I prayed to the Father of Christ. So go ahead.
Dragons exist. I mean, there's only probably about 10,000 of them left. They are immortal. When they decide to cease to exist, they just disappear. But they're very intelligent. They they move through space and time like the Chinese dragons. You'll see them that they flutter, they move, in the wind. Only they move through space and time and different realms of existence. So they do exist. And when you're in that state, you're more open because it's kind of like being half awake, half asleep. You're more open and receptive to them. You've encountered this dragon before.
So can you say that one last spot?
You've encountered this dragon many times before in different lifetimes.
Yes, I think we're very closely connected. It's kind of the idea I got when I did the prayer to Jesus Christ, Father, the true God, kind of about everything. I was given pretty closely connected and understanding kind of where I came from to where I am now. And which kind of explains, I guess, I'll add this other experience. Pretty much, Jason, you'll probably want me on your show at some point because I've dealt with a lot. I've dealt with a lot. And some of the stuff is very alarming, but I think important for people to hear because the stuff that's out there and going on around us is alarming. But pretty much I was in prayer, kind of after this, kind of accepted what I've been told, and it took me months to accept it. So it's quite a bit spiritual. That you're right. There's a very significant connection. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But I'm praying, and I have what appears in front of my face, a red dragon, and it says to me one sentence. It says, "I will get you yet," and then it fades away.
Yeah, that's Demi. Wonder what Demi was up to.
Pulling a line out of the Wicked Witch of the West, the wizard. I'll get you yet.
Yeah, kind of, but in a very yeah, kind of right, but in a very serious tone. Like it's quite of alarming. But it's definitely
It's
I
not,
don't know if that is.
It's not ill intent. Demi's not that way. It's something about a past life that he's seen you and interacted with you in past lives. So it's like a game for him, like hide and seek almost.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah,
it could be it because it's it's been a lot, and knowing the type of connection I have with this black dragon conic being pretty much one and the same. And I'm just here having this life for certain reasons.
Yeah.
I think one big one is to build that relationship with Christ so I can get to the high density towards actual heaven, towards a real reality.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been like I've encountered a lot of serious supernatural forces, and a lot of them have reacted quite strangely to me, like kind of like shocking. I was like, oh, we didn't expect that. But at the same time, I feel I've been guided like by a higher power to turn around and look, oh, there's a dogman right behind me. Or there's something that was in that creek that was sent out that was about the length of like 2 or 3 humans, and it's diving into a creek to get away from my sight in a place I've lived my entire life. I've had Via Guy's Evolution Paranormal Round Table. He talks about some of these people who left these cults. I was listening to his episodes, and I parked my vehicle before I got back home at the end of the day because I had the midday off from work. And there was a vehicle that put up behind me out of nowhere. I did not see this vehicle come. It was a quiet day in a narrow road. So this guy I should have seen come up behind me. And it's funny, this very story I'm listening to, it talks about some of the things these black magic users and these cults can do. And one of them is literally that they can drive around like crazy and no one can notice because they can manipulate reality to an extent in a horrible, evil way, but that's what they can do. I'm listening to this, and there's this guy behind me in a black Mustang with green stripes, and he's seeing these like God shades on. It looks like he's talking to someone, which might be his demon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just looking back, and I'm going, oh, okay, I don't need to deal with this. I should have rebuked him there. I didn't, but I was okay. I don't need to deal with this. Put in the car and drive and drove away quickly, and thankfully he didn't follow me. But it's stuff like that. Like I've encountered a lot. I've even encountered what I'm pretty convinced is a reptilian Draco hybrid, astral projecting itself in my basement. That I thankfully rebuked and drove it off, but that was not a pleasant experience.
No, they are the helpers of the ancient demons. The reptilians are.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. It's very interesting. I've researched a whole bunch, and I have to say for everyone, the best thing that they do is you got to love and pray for everything, because the dragons and the Draco Mycines, they didn't necessarily choose to be in that state. They had Busa pretty much come in the outer darkness to them and manipulate the crap out of them from the best I can get in information. And so it's quite alarming, kind of that extent to a lot of these entities and stuff people encounter. They're being lied to, they're being manipulated, and we got to pray for everything because God wants to save all of creation. So anyway, so I won't babble on, but just a lot to talk
Sean,
about. But I'm really,
email me at Paranormal Soup, jbland, letter J, BLAND, @gmail.com.
Yeah, I'll do that. Absolutely.
You'll see it's in the description of the show. I think I have my email in there too. You can just send me an email, man.
Okay, fantastic. I'll do that then. I'll get off the air so you guys get to the next call then.
All right. Well, thank you, Sean, so much for calling in.
Anytime. All you take care. Have a good night. God bless you.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Yeah, see, I mean, people, like I said, they see these things. Like he said, he had the reptilian experience. You know, I don't want that experience. I'll tell you right now. I do not like snakes or reptiles at all. I do not want to see a reptile. When I remember I was a kid and I saw V, this TV series, it scared the crap out of me when she's like eating the gerbil and stuff. I'm fascinated by it though. I'm fascinated by these people's experience when they encounter somebody who shapeshifts. It turns into a demon or reptilian or a snake person. You know, like, what is that? You're saying that the reptilian encounters, these are an entity that is worked with the ancients?
They serve
demons?
the ancient demons. Yeah, they serve them. And they only serve them because they're scared of the ancient demons.
Well, a lot of people think that, it's kind of like the they live scenario, that there are a bunch of them around us all the time, reptilians, controlling the planet, that they're the elite or the Illuminati or the royals, all that stuff.
Yeah, the cabal.
The cabal. I mean, I don't know. There might be some too. There's definitely some kind of cabal. You got very powerful families that have been controlling things for a long time. And you have the David Icke scenario that these families, a lot of them are these ancient reptilian bloodlines, and that they're passing these. I mean, reptilians are basically living forever by jumping bodies of the like a generational possession.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what's going on, you got these secret societies and all that. It could, like I said, it could be they live thing, except that you got the sunglasses. You get to see.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Unfortunately, some of the things I see, I don't want to see.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. You're walking around and getting to see, like I said, I'm a big fan of John Carpenter's They Live. Roddy Piper's got these sunglasses. He can see the aliens or interdimensional beings or whatever they are, basically walk around, everybody thinks they're humans, and there's all these subliminal messages. And, the studios did not want him to make that movie. John Carpenter. And, they're remaking every goddamn stupid movie out there. You know what I'm saying? But they don't want to remake. I've never heard anybody talk about trying to revamp or remake They Live. They don't want to do that one.
No.
Right? They did do V. They did have like a reboot of V on TV, but it didn't last long either.
No.
These concepts I think end up mixing into our fiction and our media, and and I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but I think it gets in there. You have all these Hollywood celebrities, putting up signs like Illuminati signs, or showing their one eye, or doing this or whatever. It's like a cultural thing now. So people wonder.
Yeah.
Are they all a bunch of shape-shifting reptilians, demonically possessed? I mean, people see evil in the world. That's the question. I mean, is it that's what people want to know when you see demons? How many are there, or how much is it affecting? Right. That's
talk about billions.
So I mean, I always kind of scoffed at I've seen, what's that guy's name? He's a minister. Does it's like he's delivering all these people of I have the demon of this, the demon of flatulence. I have the demon of like they got demons for every little vice of a human. Is that true? I mean, is it every little vice we have? Is that just demon influence? No, I didn't think so. I mean, that's what I'd say. But there is some major influence happening around us, the unseen. That's what I wonder. Like, how is that affecting everyday life? How is that affecting the people?
It does. My book that I released last June was called Demon Seer: The Awakening. It talks about how they're influencing the current lifetime.
Well, that's the question. I mean, I've run across people. I don't know if they're demonically possessed or influenced or whatever, but I feel something dark attached to them. They could be the nicest person in the world.
Yeah.
But I feel it. It's like a gut feeling. Like, stay away. They're dangerous.
That's your soul connection. The gut feeling is your soul connection. So you have to listen to it.
I mean, I've seen weird things in people too. I had this one experience working in retail where I saw a guy walk into my store. He seemed like an older gentleman in his 50s or whatever, with his family, maybe his daughters. I'm guessing they were. But he walked in, and I'm the only one seeing this. But his face looked completely palish gray, like I could see the veins in his face. I'm like, nobody else is seeing this, and he had like glowing purple coming out of his eyes. I'm the only one seeing this in my store. I actually asked one of my other coworkers who has abilities. I said, "Do you see anything weird about that guy?" He's like, "No." So I thought I was losing my mind. It's only that one time.
Well, sometimes they have attachments, and demons can make you see them when they want to be seen, and they can represent themselves as literally as anything. I mean, for God's sakes, a banana or a teddy bear, whichever. But I'm not kidding you. They can make you see them, and they can make other people not see them.
Can they mimic somebody else too?
Oh yes, absolutely, 100%.
So somebody thinks that they're seeing their dead relative come back to them, but it's really a demon.
Right. What you have to look for, and most people don't, is I had a case where the woman thought that her best friend had killed himself, and she thought that this was him wanting help, but she didn't pay attention to the eyes. The demons can't hide their eyes. That's the one thing. If it's a human, if it really is that person, they're going to have the eye color that they had when they were alive. They're not going to have red eyes or black eyes or golden eyes. And most people don't pay attention to the eyes. And this one had black eyes. She remembered it after the fact, after the demon attached. So.
I mean, you hear. I mean, there's the infamous Ted Bundy interviews that they did, where a couple of the interviewers at one point, when he's really confessing in a sense, right before his execution, swear they saw his eyes turn black.
Mm-hmm. Manson,
You know,
Manson had the one that shared his cell. That's why Nana had a demon that was with him.
With Manson, I can believe
Yeah,
that.
yeah, till the day he died. Why do you think none of the other inmates wanted to be around him?
Well, I think because he was freaking crazy.
Besides
and
that,
probably annoyingly crazy.
his eyes were black.
Yeah. I mean, look, that these guys, you know, talk about cult leaders. Kenneth Copeland. Have you ever seen that guy? The preacher,
No.
Kenneth Copeland? Well,
No.
that guy, he's preaching Jesus, but in his words, if you listen to his words carefully, I swear to God, he's saying things that are insulting God at times, like in his like little tricky way that he does it.
Like
But
I said,
he's
what better way to influence people?
well, he's an evangelical minister that believes people should be giving him money. You know, he's got private jets.
Closing.
Yeah, but listen to the guy talk. He sounds like he's possessed. He sounds like evil incarnate in his voice, but people will line up and think he's the bread and butter of Jesus, and they're going to give him money.
Yeah, I'm not.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, you have people like Jim Jones. You know, led people.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, those people are. You know, I did a long interview about perfect possession and all that with Heather Wade from the Kingdom of Nye. And we talked about, like, you know, is Hitler an example of perfect possession? You know, like, he used to talk to people that weren't there, according to a couple different sources.
He was influenced. Hitler, Rommel, and Goering all had demonic attachments, and Ariel, Michael, and Gabriel removed them right before the end. That's what caused the downfall.
Well, he was on. I also said, you know, a lot of the descriptions. I mean, we know that Hitler was on a big cocktail of different drugs, speed and, you know, meth or whatever they were giving these guys back then, and him included, which could open them up. I mean, look at the German soldiers; they were lining those guys up and giving them meth on the front lines.
Yeah,
that's why they
a better
people
way
reported,
to control them. Yeah,
right, and like, you know, disassociate and all that. Maybe let something demonic in them.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, the whole influence over the German people was demonic.
Yeah, it's a perfect storm.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's these powerful people that might have powerful things connected to them or in them or wherever that can do horrible things and lead people down horrible paths. So you got a big battle. That's what I'm saying, if you're a demon seer.
Oh, yeah. I had one 2 weeks ago, another one coming up tonight. So it's like nothing. It's always happening. So
how do you prepare yourself?
There's no way to really prepare yourself. You just sit down and you go to the battle. They tell me when they're ready and we go.
Do you feel like, I mean, it sounds like it only takes a few minutes for you to do this when you're like clearing somebody's home and all that, but does it take something out of you to do it?
The battles are the ones that do, because it's usually, the battles usually last an hour or so, but the remote removals and stuff, no. But like I said, possessions and the battles, those are the draining ones.
You hear about, I mean, the Catholic Church has said that, you know, the call for exorcisms increase. I mean, pretty much since The Exorcist, since the 70s, they've had a huge increase of people believing they're possessed.
Newsweek magazine, January 25th, 2018, the Vatican came out and said, we're training more exorcists than ever before in the history of the church.
Right.
And I asked Michael about that, the archangel. I said, Michael, how come it takes them so long to remove a demon? He says, it will if they have any doubt at all. Doubt in what they're doing, doubt in the process, doubt in themselves, any of that. It can take them years to remove a demon.
Well, Malachi Martin, during his time, when he would in the interviews would talk about that many of these priests had no faith in demons, didn't believe in it. They don't believe it. They actually don't have, like a solid faith, even though they're a priest.
No, they don't. And Michael says, and you can't have any fear, because if you have fear, you're screwed. And the people ask me, aren't you afraid of them? I said, why should I be? Why should I be? I'm not
Yeah,
afraid.
no.
I'm not afraid of them. They're just.
One thing I learned after my encounter was don't give it fear, because
Yeah.
it tried to come back at me when a few years later in our first apartment me and my wife had, and I stood up to it. I'd learned my lesson. That's this thing. If I give in to fear, if I don't trust in God, it will come back into my life.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
faced it and had to give my trust in God. Now we got another phone call. Who do we got online?
Hi, Jason. This is Ariana. How are you tonight?
Hey, Ariana. Thanks for calling in.
You're welcome. I wanted to thank June for what she does. It takes courage and bravery to do this. And having some personal experiences with this stuff, and I really don't discuss it publicly, but it does take courage and faith, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I'd like to thank you also for mentioning dragons, because they're awesome.
Yeah, they are.
I mean,
They're absolutely wonderful.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. But thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for calling in.
you have a blessed night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ariana.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that's the thing. I wonder though, like more exorcism. They're needing more exorcism. Is this a result of just media and it's being in more of the public's mind, or more, or is there a higher level of more of attachments and attacks happening on?
Yeah, it's been increasing over the last. Well, the dark ones have been more or less in control over the last 500 years. So, about 6 years ago, God said, this is it. He says, we're taking it back, the earth. The light's going to be spreading. It's going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but that's the way it is. And so we've been battling heavily for the last 5 or 6 years. And 6 years ago, he said, I'm going to awaken, I'm going to activate the warrior angels. And a lot of people, that had warrior angel souls have been activated, and they're helping more and more. And they'll get a hold of me, or they'll get a hold of someone else, one of the other archangels, and say, hey, what do I do? What's my goal?
Do you think it's becoming more active because we're building to something? He said 6 years ago. I mean, people like, I played the Ghostbusters biblical prophecies there, raining cats and dogs. I mean, it was snowing in Saudi Arabia, We got weirdness all happening. It seems like life has gone crazy the last 8 years, 6 years. Are we building to something? Is there,
Yeah, there's going to be an ultimate battle. It's just we have to win the battles. We have to fight the battles to win the war. And I can tell you there's at least one battle a month. And it involves thousands of demons.
That they're fighting?
Yeah, that we're fighting, yeah. Hundreds of thousands of them.
I know one question should come up in this when we talk about this is, we mentioned the reptilians and all that. When people are talking about alien abduction, some people tell them those are demons. You're just dealing with demons.
No, they're real aliens.
They're so they are a separate thing.
They are a separate thing. I remember the first time I encountered one was I was pregnant with my son, and it was summertime, and I was laying. We had a big plate glass window, and I was laying on the couch underneath it. And I live in the country. I have a farm, and there was a light that grew brighter and brighter, and it moved really quick, and it hovered over my pasture. I have 3 acres. It hovered over my pasture, and I could hear what it was saying. I could hear them talking telepathically, and I'm like, oh crap. So I shut myself down, and the minute I shut myself down, it took off. It just went straight up. I'm like, no, these ones I don't like. I have nothing to do with them. What they want is they want people with abilities so that they can, basically breed. They've lost the ability to breed without having problems with their children, so to speak. So that's what they want. They want to breed
hybrid
abilities. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, not this chick, you're not.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the wonder. I mean, some people are like, they're demons, but some are good, some are bad.
Yeah, there are the gray ones that I don't like. That's what those ones were. The blue ones are okay, but the gray ones, I don't like them at all.
Yeah, see, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you're being, abducted from your home and being, probed or experimented on, or,
Right.
they're using you for a hybrid program, doesn't seem like they're the greatest intentions, that might not be the greatest good guy, might not want to trust them.
Yeah,
if that's the case.
I kind of liken the gray ones to like the military, and the blue ones to like the scientific part of them.
Or do you think they're working with our military?
No, I think that's their own. I'd liken them to the military mentality. Let's make them bigger, let's make them better. Let's see what we can do to make superhumans. Let's see what we can do to make super, people with psychic abilities to do remote viewing. My godfather was a colonel in the military, and when I got stationed at the SAC base, he came to me and he said, "Don't tell anybody about your abilities," because at that time they were experimenting using drugs to increase people's abilities, to remote view, to go into people's minds, things like that. So I put a lid on it, and I never talked about it when I was in there.
We got a question from Lisa. Miss June, does the holy angel suggest that it's about that time? I guess it's kind of the same question, I'm guessing. Are we in the end times?
No.
Doom.
I asked God about that one day. We have these long conversations. And I said, well, they talk about the end of the earth that nobody knows but you. And he says, it won't come in your time or your children's children's time. That's all he would tell me.
Hey, that's great. That's what I hope, because the Father, I don't want it to be end times, right?
Yeah,
yeah. But it does feel like the world's gone a bit unhinged.
It's gone
I think
crazy.
Everybody feels that.
Yeah.
I think everybody feels that, even before COVID and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That it feels like the world's gone a little loopy.
Yeah.
And all I can say is you can only fight your personal battles, lead by example, peace and love, and, that you only can do so much, Don't worry about the big stuff, I guess, It's going to handle itself, I guess. I don't know, but I can see a lot of people worry, it's a lot of fear we're fed every day in the media and all that. And then, I talk about how drugs and alcohol, these things can open people up, and then we live in a society that's constantly drugging itself, poisoning itself with the horrible foods and all that stuff. Are we as a society about to open ourselves up to something that could influence us from that realm because of the way we're treating ourselves and our bodies?
Well, humans have been this way for hundreds of thousands of years. It's we've always been this way. We've always been open. We've always been easily influenced. Why do you think that the dark ones have such a hold in the physical world? It's because we're like, oh, this is cool. Let me see if I can summon a demon tonight.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's people that are. I mean, I played a video once on this show where a guy basically is giving you a pitch to why you should be totally into having demons indwell in you.
Yeah.
There's people that believe in that. That's what I'm saying. There's people that think you're going to get power from that. I'm getting a lot of questions from the chat room. All right, if you want to make sure your question gets up here, we're trying to get them, but I will shamelessly plug Super Chat. Super Chats, we will definitely get your questions. It helps donate to the show. So if you do a Super Chat, we'll definitely get your question in here. We're going to go to our last commercial break here in a few minutes. But that's the thing. I mean, if they are able to influence, control, or be over people, and we are bombarding ourselves with electromagnetic energy, high Wi-Fi, poisons in our food, all these things, could we be opening ourselves up for some mass indwelling? Could we be demonically influenced? Our media is filling. I swear, people that watch Fox News or CNN or MSN, if you're constantly you're inputting that into your brain,
Yeah,
just like somebody who
yeah.
watches a horror movies constantly, like
Yeah.
loves the blood and gore and dark stuff, you're damaging yourself. I think
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
damaging your brain.
Yeah, some of the older patients that I have that, it's like they're watching the news all the time. I'm like, stop watching the news all the time. Watch something else. Watch, turn a classic movie or something.
That's how they. I mean, watching your, tonight at 10, you might be getting seriously harmed by fill in the blank. Your children could be in danger, fill in the blank or whatever, and we won't tell you much more about it. Just tune in at 10 or
Right,
9 or
exactly.
6.
The last
And
15
we'll save it.
minutes
Yeah, after a bunch of commercials from Pfizer. Here we go. Now we're going to scare you with something.
Yep, that's it.
But we saw that. We saw that during COVID. We saw a mass problem, gave us a problem. We reacted, and they handed us the solution they wanted the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm saying we see this, and that's what concerns me. You got powerful people maybe be influenced by dark things that want to, poison us, do things that could open us up to this. You've seen mass society in Germany turn and do horrible things under one guy who might have been demonically influenced, or a bunch of people, honestly, in the whole Nazi cult. But that's what I'm saying. We are primed. I feel like right now we're primed as a society to react in a bad way. When I tell my kids this all the time. When you're angry or fearful, whatever decision you're going to make from that feeling is probably not going to be a good one.
Right.
It's probably going to be a stupid decision.
Yeah.
And that's what concerns me. I feel like we've been pumped and primed for stupidity, for society to go in some stupid direction. I just hope our better angels like you help steer us in the right way.
Oh yeah.
The right direction.
Yep. There's a bunch of us hanging out here in the physical world. We're working all the time.
And I mean, do you think there's going to be more of you born?
Yes.
More.
Yes. Yes.
Because they talk about star seeds and.
Yeah, over the last 70 years, there have been, 300,000 of us born in the last 70 years. So there are over 300 million of them walking the earth in spirit form. So it's not
angels?
like angels, yeah. It's not like we're resting on our laurels and not doing anything, I get, after I do a radio show, I get hundreds of calls for, I did coast to coast. I got over 300 requests for help in the first week.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. There seems to be a ton
crazy.
of people that. My fear of what I went through is that why I do the show is to give people a voice. Is that these things try to isolate you, make you feel like you have no one you can talk to about it. Right?
They want to isolate you from your support system.
But how many people out there are silently suffering with these kind of harassments?
It happens quite a lot. I get emails every day.
I think there's a ton that don't, they don't have any clue about this realm or this idea, but it's there in their lives. And, if they tell anybody, they're going to think they're crazy.
Yeah, they think they're crazy, yeah. Or they're, I have people that the first thing they say is, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I'm like, no, I've heard it all. I've been doing this. I'm 66 years old today. I've been doing it all my life. You're not going to think you're crazy.
Well, it's like going to I had Barry Taff as a parapsychologist out of L.A. and did some famous cases like the Entity case. And that one is so scary because that woman, I mean, she was still dealing with it years later. Like you have the whole moment where this thing materializes in front of a bunch of parapsychologists as this green-shaped floating entity, and they got pictures and evidence and all that stuff, but then she just disappeared for a while. They eventually tracked her down, and she was still dealing with this thing.
Yeah, if you don't,
and it was raping her. It was doing horrible things. She's living in silence. It ruined her life.
Yeah, if you don't get rid of them, that's what happens. You have to kill them. You cannot just say, "Oh, I'm going to send you back to the dark realm." You can't
How do you kill something though that isn't a living on Earth? I mean,
because you go into a whole different realm of existence. When we do battle, I call it no man's land, because it's in between the dark and in between the light, and the weapons of choice are swords of light and swords of dark.
And in this battle, do angels die?
No. When I slice through A demon, its molecules are spread among the stars. It ceases to exist. When we die, we can reincarnate. They cannot. They cease to exist. And only an archangel can kill them. That's why I work with the archangels.
So that, because there's a ton of people out there doing deliverances or exorcisms now.
Oh yeah.
What are they doing then? Are they just sending it back to hell?
A lot of times they just send it back to the dark realm, but it'll come back. It's like a boomerang. It'll come back.
Right.
That's why years ago God said, no more sending them back to the dark. We have to kill them because they'll just come back again and cause more problems.
Well, I always tell people a famous case is, why you don't want to mess with these things, how dangerous these things could be, is the Ed and Lorraine Warren case with his nickname was Froggy, Maurice Theriault, I think something like that, where they did an exorcism, several of them on him, and one was videotaped where you see his head split open, his eyes turned to slits. That guy, a few years later, it came back and he blew off his wife's arm and then struggled with it and just eventually killed himself.
Yeah.
Dangerous. These people can be very dangerous. So as I said, if you do think you run across somebody that you think is demonically possessed, attachment, or whatever, be very cautious. Be very cautious. Call somebody like June. We're going to go to our last commercial break, and then we'll open up the phone lines if anybody wants to call in when we come back. Just hang on until after the commercial break. And like I said, too, Super Chat, if you want to get your question to us, Super Chat when we come back from the commercial break. We will definitely get Super Chat questions to June. It does help pay the bills for the show. You can always donate on Super Chat. PayPal is... You look up Jason Bland or oojblandoo yahoo.com is the email. You can look me up for PayPal and Patreon. Patreon does help pay the bills for the show. If you want to help the show out, it is the way. We're going to go to our last commercial break. We'll be back for the last half hour with June Lundgren after this short commercial break.
Intercepted a transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated. I don't want to hear it.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Heat 'em up. Do, re, be gone.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID oojblandoo or jblandparanormalsoup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest has been June Lundgren. She's a psychic medium, animal communicator, demon seer, international paranormal investigator, and author. We're getting all kinds of talk about the dark side of the paranormal. She's also an animal communicator. We didn't really get into that too much tonight. Next week, I will have Ellen Cohn on, who's also an animal communicator. We're going to be talking about her communication with actually these horses. It's really interesting next Sunday night. But tonight is June Lundgren. We got a little bit of time left. I'm going to open up the phone lines again. If you want to call in with a question for June, lines are now open, but let's go ahead and get back to our guests. Well, thank you, June, for hanging out with us here this last half hour of the show. Now, you also are an animal communicator. We didn't get into much of that tonight, but what it is that you do as an animal communicator?
Well, a lot of people come to me to communicate with their animal, either that have issues or like Kat Hobson, you know, she does a show, and
Yeah.
I've spoken to her rescue animals and things like that to get them. I do things a little differently. When I talk to animals, I talk to them like I'm talking to you. I get full on conversations. You know, some people get like feelings, some people get pictures, some people get words, emotions, but I've been doing it since the animals, I lived with my grandmother and grandfather for the first 6 years of my life, and they had a farm, and the animals would collect under my crib, and I would talk to them. And my grandmother knew that I had the ability. It's something that she could not do, but I would just have full-on conversations with them, and it's like, okay, they tell me I talk to them and explain things to them, and 9 times out of 10, it takes care of the issue. A lot of it is insecurity, a lot of it is fear-based, but if you at first they kind of get startled because they can understand me. They're not used to that, but once they get over that, they start talking. So
I always swore our first dog, Bella, could read my mind. I swear to God, that dog could read my mind. Like I'd look at her and she'd know what I was wanting or what we're gonna do. Like go outside, whatever. She knew the looks. At least,
they read energy really, really good. Yeah,
this one can read my mind like you wouldn't believe.
Oh yeah, they can. I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah, I had this one weird dream where I swear to God, my cat Luna, who's still alive, was talking to me in the dream.
Mm-hmm.
The cat was talking to me.
Yeah, they have telepathic abilities. Why not? I have 2 pit bulls and a Springer. And the 2 pit bulls are my incarnated, this is the 3rd incarnation with me. They started out being 2 Dobermans, and then another 2 Dobermans that were sisters, and now there are 2 pit bulls that are sisters. And this is my 4th Springer, this 4th incarnation with me. So they just come back. They come back, yeah.
I am an animal rescuer, and I've had him twice now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they love you. They'll come back. They want to come back to you.
I believe that. Yeah, I believe that. I mean,
Yeah.
we got a last Christmas rescue. She's a French bulldog.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird is that she's like my kids say it all the time. She's like a perfect mixture of both our dogs who passed away 3 years before, of the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's got a personality trait, perfect blend of them, And Bella and Age had passed away months apart from each other during the COVID lockdowns. That's a whole weird experience, but it affected my kids really deeply. But it's definitely helped bringing this dog into our home and as a family member.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know how anybody looks into a dog or cat's eyes and think they don't have a soul.
Yeah,
I don't know people feel that way.
I've run into people that do that, and believe me, it's usually the most intelligent ones. Oh, it's just an animal. It's like, yeah, whatever you say. It ain't.
Or some people are, I have a mother-in-law. She's raised on a farm. They're all livestock.
Yeah.
In that mindset. But to me, it's like, man, it's a family member.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just the way it is. The way my grandmother raised me as well. It's like they're family. They're a part of your family. You have a dog or you have a cat. You keep them for life. It's not, it's not convenient anymore. Let's get rid of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't even get me started on that. People that do that.
I don't understand that. Yeah.
I don't get it. I can't believe somebody left this dog that we have as such a lover, such a cuddle bug, just abandoned her on the street.
Yeah.
I don't know how somebody does that.
Only humans.
Yeah, only humans. We were talking about that because one of the weird news stories I had tonight was the monkeys from the lab that escaped.
Yeah.
And the horrible things we do to those animal testing. It just breaks my heart.
Ridiculous.
It makes me hate humanity. It makes me feel like we deserve whatever we're gonna get. When you see it.
I'm all for you got people that are in prison for life for killing people. Just experiment on them. They're not worth anything anyway. So there you have it.
Yeah.
I have no sympathy.
No, I don't either. I mean, people that do the dog fighting and stuff, and just the cruelty to animals and the lab testing Big Pharma does is
none
ridiculous.
Of that stuff. Yeah, it's all bull.
I mean, go look at what I can't say his name because YouTube will go get me, but a little short doctor guy, what he did with the beagles. How he tested on beagles.
That asshole. Yeah.
Yeah, just go. You go look him up. Who he was. He was like thought he was like a rock star.
Yeah.
But that's not even, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, he experimented on children too. I mean, I didn't care about dogs. He didn't care about children either.
No.
Even treated their own animals when it came time to evacuate. I saw the most horrendous, mind-blowing things that I don't even want to repeat. Thank God the ones I saw were saved. But the
Yeah.
fact that someone would leave what was a family member like that
Yeah, I don't understand.
just
Like it's
hit
like
me.
it's like the people that eat dogs and cats. It's like,
Yeah.
really? Give me a break. Somebody should do it to
I
you.
mean, if you got to survive, you got to survive. But that's what you're.
Yeah, but not
That's
just
your food
because.
source, okay? But
Yeah,
just because
but
it tastes good.
right.
It tastes like chicken.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You know, I'm not a vegetarian. You know, my mom is.
Yeah.
She's a Buddhist. You know,
Mhm.
and I get that. I would love to be like, I'm not going to harm or eat another life, but man, I do like my hamburger. I do. And I see cows. They seem so nice. I feel bad. I love it when you have kids and they hit that they finally get that realization.
Mm-hmm.
Like my sons
Yeah.
went through this. Like, you know, like they like the chicken nuggets. They want chicken nuggets. I'm like, chicken nugget, chicken. Like when the concept finally like
Yeah. It doesn't. The concept
Yeah.
finally sinks in. Yeah.
it happened when we took them because my wife we want to raise chickens. We've talked about it for years, but we go see the little chickadees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the chickens are like, oh yeah. Then it starts to dawn on them, chicken nuggets. Yeah, that's what you're eating.
Yeah. We
No,
raised
both my
yeah.
sons at some point were like, I'm not eating any meat, but I like the chicken nuggets. I like
Yeah.
the chicken.
Yeah.
Like,
I raised chickens and for eggs, and that was it.
That's what we wanted to
They
do.
die of old age, Just
Yeah.
stay away from the Americana, and you'll be okay. Because the Americana are mean. They're the ones that lay the green eggs. Like they're mean.
Oh yeah.
We raised our
Well,
own beef for years.
Yeah, well, we wanted to do it to have eggs. We're started to do our own gardening. You know, last 2 years we started on gardening. Because my wife, I tell you, moms out there are the ones that are going to really be the revolutionary people out there. They've had enough.
Bees
Not just
and
the
gardening.
grocery prices, but the fact
Oh,
that
yeah.
my wife has to hunt through food to find stuff that doesn't have complete toxic crap in it. You know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Or food that's not going to go rotten in 2 days.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
already
don't worry.
back on
We'll
the
have
shelf.
A-peel. They'll have A-peel. It'll make it stay a lot longer because it's got a coating on it. It'll
Yeah.
let shelf life last long. Courtesy of Bill Gates, you're going to get that. Oh, I said
Oh.
Voldemort's name out loud.
Oh.
You know, he's going to come for me.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that you want to talk about somebody that's got something in him. You ever watch his interviews when he was back in the 90s when they were nailing him for... Yeah, I love how he's suddenly an expert on, vaccines and stuff. But nobody remembers the 90s when he's like being brought up in court charges for monopoly,
Mhm. Yeah.
And and when they're doing in court
We're
he's doing this.
concerned.
Did you
Like,
see him? He does
Are you
this.
concerned? I don't understand
You-
concern.
He does this, but you see he does this like he's
Yeah,
doing
he
this
rocks.
deposition. He's like he
It's
rocks. You
rocking.
know who else did that? I mean, of course, he was on high on amphetamines and all that stuff. Was Hitler?
Yeah.
If you watch Hitler, he had that
Yeah, he
same.
does.
There's videos of Hitler. It has the same body language as Bill Gates. Boy, YouTube's going to be like demonitor on this one, but I don't care. Whatever. But I'm a body language guy. When I play poker with people or whatever, I like to watch body language. It tells you a lot. When as a retail salesperson,
Yeah.
I look for body language clues. And man, when I saw that interview of him, I'm sure it's because he's under high stress during that because the federal government was trying to come
yeah.
after him at that point. That's probably when he decided people instead of having them come after me, I'm going to buy them all out. His newest thing is I'm ready to work with the Trump administration. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
Sure you are.
You're ready to work with anybody. But I'm just saying that body language under that high stress tell you something's wrong with that individual.
Yeah.
Right there. Watch those 90s when he
how
had to do the
just would
depositions.
freeze and think, and he's like, I don't know what you mean by concern.
Yeah.
It was just so weird.
Or listen to his ex-wife say, you should talk to Bill about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's evil people in the world, and I'm saying they got to be holding some pretty powerful demonic stuff attached to them to be doing the evil. It's not to excuse. It's not. I'm saying that
No.
they're willingly
I
doing
was gonna
it.
say they're more than willing to engage.
Yeah,
They've sold their soul.
that guy sure hell has. But I'm saying, but if he is somebody imagine you give a powerful demon billions of dollars in power, and they're up to no good. Here he is wanting to block out the sun, buying up our farmland, bioengineering. Dude, don't eat the genetically grown meat that he's going to try to sell you. It's cancer.
No. Yep.
It's grown from a human cancer cell, man. I'm just telling you, don't eat that nasty crap. But he wants to do all these things that are just horrible.
And there's no repercussions. He's completely protected against being able to do these experiments on everybody.
Then you got Carl Schwab. He looks like a freaking Bond villain. His voice sounds like a Bond villain. I'm just waiting for him to have a white cat on his lap and go, He's supposedly retiring, his son will take over, right? All these guys are getting old. But they're doing things, moving things in this world that are, in my opinion, horrible directions, horrible things, poisoning us, killing us, wars, starting wars.
Yeah.
To me, these are evil demonic forces, or evil forces, demons or no.
Yeah.
But the question is how much does that realm have influence over these guys? A lot, is my
opinion. Mm-hmm.
So, what can we do to kind of fight against that?
Well, there are times when, I know where the demons lie, and it's a matter of when they give me permission to do it.
What do you mean? Like where they lie?
I know who they're attached to.
Like if you were to remotely go and try to clear Bill Gates of his demons, would you be successful?
Yes.
But why don't you?
I haven't been authorized. It sounds like something.
That's what I'm interested.
I haven't been authorized to do it yet. That's coming though.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that a danger to you?
No.
Because I think that guy's got some powerful demons. I'm just saying,
No, if I can kill an ancient demon, I can kill the ones that are, shall we say, attached.
Well, I hope they give you authorization to clear those demons of those guys soon, because they are up to some nefarious bad crap in this country and in the world.
Yeah, it's coming. Coming sooner than they know.
It'd be great. It'd be great. Now, for people that think that they might have some kind of attachment, or they have weirdness, or their fear, just a fear that they might. Some people just fear that they do. They don't know.
Yeah, some people just want to know. They've been having a run of bad luck or whatever. They'll send me their picture.
Right, like I've been cursed. What's your advice to people?
It's usually it's usually 9 times out of 10. If they are listening to a podcast that I'm on just out of the blue for no reason, it's usually because their guides or guardians are saying, you need to get a hold of that person. And, my name will pop up like just out of nowhere, or they'll turn it on the podcast and listen, and I'll be on there, and then they'll get a hold of me. That's just the way it is. Demons are pretty powerful, but your guides and guardians have a tendency to help work around them to get you help, whether it just pops up on your computer screen or whether your radio turns to a podcast station and you hear it. That's how most people.
I like to call it the force.
Yeah,
I like to call it the force or God's will that directs
us.
It's
definitely the force.
Well, that's what I feel like when I was saved, when I was being attacked by this thing, and it drove me to the brink. I was only 18. I was so stupid and young and dumb. But when I was saved, I felt this immense, compassionate love that I knew I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
At that moment, I know, and I'm still to this day know I'm not alone, that this force, this thing is with me, and it talks to me in subtle ways. Not as strong as it did that night, but it talks to me in subtle ways, and I try to recognize it when it does.
Yeah, it's like when I went to the other side, the first thing you feel is this overall sense of peace and love. And it's like a greater consciousness, but yet I could hear every single soul in existence. And it's like a murmur in the background. And all I had to do was think of someone and I could hear them. And it's
'Cause
just
we're all
we're all connected. Michael said, he took me by the hand and he said, "Look," and he waved his arm and this like window appeared, and he said, "You see those strings coming out of those people down there?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "The ones that are lit up are the people that have made the soul connection, the connection to the light. The ones
Like
that
the
are
silver
still,
cord?
yeah, it's like it lit up. The ones that are dark are the ones that have yet to make that soul connection, make that connection to the light." He says, that's what's happening. And that's when he said, that's when he touched my forehead and he says, "This is who you truly are. You are Ariel, the archangel. You are here. You have come into this world to fight demons. And so you need to go back and you need to start doing the work you're supposed to be doing. That it's time. We've waited long enough for you to start doing the work." Then he told me, you're going to have a son. And then within the next year, you're going to be pregnant with a son. And my son I conceived my son less than a year later.
I actually saw my youngest son before he was born.
You can.
It was the week I was moving out of my parents' house to marry my wife, and this translucent boy walks middle of the day through my parents' living room and smiles at me. And that was many years before he was born, and he's about the age of the kid I saw then. And he's definitely. I think both my sons are special in their own way, but Liam, he's had past life stuff. Like he told my wife when he was 3 that he chose us.
Right.
And he's talked about bodies on a hill, and he's
He
named
was
stuff
in-
that makes me
yeah.
think that he was in World War II as a German soldier because of the information I got from him.
Yeah. And when they're young like that, they can access it really easily. It's very easy for them to access.
I think it's fading from him. But yeah.
It will as they get older, and everything changes for them. That they become 10, 12 years of age, and things change for them, and they forget about things like that. They move on to the computers, the video games, whatever.
Oh yeah. No, he's learning about his for video games. He's playing Police Simulator, so he's learning his civil rights through that. And he was playing I Am Your President the other night, which is way above his grade level to understand what's going on. But he is trying. Both my sons are trying that one.
What? No, 007?
Oh, that's his favorite thing is James Bond.
Yeah,
he just
yeah.
named his favorite thing James Bond. He went as James Bond for Halloween one year. Yeah. He wants to read my James Bond novels. I'm like, not yet, kiddo. He's just getting like into reading, like he's starting to grasp reading. And I hate to say it, but video games got him there faster than school did. Because there's games he want to play where he has to read. I did that for my oldest son too. But he's picking up books that are like way beyond his level. Of course, some of them are like war books, like books about war and history, like he's interested in. It's like his room has camouflage on his wall. He's always been interested in soldiers, but at the same time, he's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to be a soldier. Like he still has that memory of that.
Yeah,
so reincarnation is just like I've had my 2 very vivid dreams. I think that showed me my past life. One being a Buddhist monk. And another where I was a little black girl slave that was beaten to death by my father, who was a white slave master.
Yeah.
Those were so vivid, and it opens your eyes if you have this kind of experience of regression or dream to the fact that you are so much more than the facade of the ego that you think you are, the character you think you are.
I've seen all my lifetimes. It's not a big deal, and this is the first lifetime where I will die quietly. I've been burned at the stake. I've been strangled. I've been hung. It's like I died in the plague. I died of a plague.
The only 3 past lives I know of is one from a regression. Well, no, 2. There was 2 in the regression I did with Chris Lee, and both of those didn't end well. One, I was a witch that was basically I choked myself out to end my misery. Hung myself.
Yeah.
And that's why he explains I have these neck problems.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. And then the 2 vivid dreams I told you about, the girl I was beaten to death by my father, and the Buddhist monk I was shot by soldiers.
Yeah, it's when I went to England the first time. There's a place over there called the Cage. It's considered the most it used to be considered the most haunted location in all of England. And it was medieval witches' prison.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't burn them over there, they hung them in the town square. So I removed the demons that were there. I had to go a couple times because they allowed people to have a spirit board and go there and draw other demons. But that's where I died in one of my lifetimes.
We got one more phone call. I want to fit him in because we're going to get to the end of the show. Who do we got on the line?
My name's Michael.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, I thought I'd call in. Very interesting conversation. Brings up things in our lives. We've had a lot of people reincarnate in our family. And one of the, for instances, would be our daughter, who was my great-grandmother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It seems to be common in our family. We know some of our past lives, mine, and then some of the kids, and my partners, or ex, whatever we call her, usually Ruthie. But it's intriguing, and I have no doubt that I've lived before, and I'll probably live again.
I find it very interesting, families that have this. People, you see hints of it, and you've talked to certain people that, they're not totally into the reincarnation, but they feel like this grandchild is so like my great-grandfather. That feeling from people. I mean, of course, genetics passes down, and they look at them, but there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, you guys, having that kind of reincarnation within the family, I think does happen. Right, June? You think?
It happens quite a bit.
Groups.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, they're here for a reason, no doubt. My son's deployed right now, so we pray for him.
Yeah. Where's he deployed?
He's deployed in the Middle East.
Oh God.
And everything seems to be going okay, so we pray every day.
Yeah, definitely pray. Pray for no war.
Yeah, well, some things may be coming to an end soon, I hope.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me, I write. I've been a jack of all trades. Now I'm writing books, so
awesome.
Pray about that too.
I need to pray for
I've tried to bring a little light to the world. I don't know.
I've been trying to get myself to write a book for years, man. I hear you. So, well, pray for your son and pray for you to write a book.
Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Well,
thank you.
We'll see what comes. The first one's going to be called "The Beveled Glass." A little free advertising for me. It'll be out, I hope, within a couple of months. So,
is it fiction or non-fiction?
I'm sorry.
Is it fiction or non?
Well, it's fiction, but there are a lot of things in it that ring true. Let's put it that way.
Very cool.
Let us know when it comes out.
Yeah, let us know, Michael.
I will.
Yeah, email me at paranormalsoupjbland@gmail.com. Let me know.
Oh, okay. Very good.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
You guys take care. God bless.
Yeah, God bless you, man. Have a good night.
Okay. Good night.
Yeah, I need some hard praying for me to get a chance to write it. I'll admit, people, I started putting stuff together for a book on my own paranormal experiences, but it's not very far. I'm trying.
Yeah, I'm working on 4 books right now.
Yeah, you got a lot of books you've written.
I know. The next one.
Tell me your secret.
The next one I'm releasing is called The Angel Primer. It's basically a manual for warrior angels and archangels that are born into the physical. A lot of them don't know what they can do and how to create things.
How do they recognize they are one?
They feel like they're one step out of step with the rest of the world. That's a common.
I mean, that could describe a lot of people. That could make me feel. I felt that way all my life.
And then they usually have abilities, not just one ability, but multiple abilities.
Yeah.
That's it. And they need to learn how to protect themselves and how to create weapons of light, how to create protection. And
because they'd be targets. They could be targets too if they don't know.
Always.
Right? I mean,
that's why I'm making the Angel Primer, because I teach people how to make weapons of light, how to make infinity orbs, how to, recreate white light force fields to protect themselves.
Yeah, I mean, would this work besides for people that are reincarnated angels, but work for anybody, right? To help protect themselves?
The angelic beings can create these weapons. They can create the protection. The white light force field, yeah, anybody can use.
Right.
And I usually, if people ask, I usually send them a copy of the step-by-step for that.
Yeah. Well, I've known people that get interested in the paranormal. They see the ghost shows, and then they go and stick their nose somewhere into something, and something follows them home, and they don't want to do the paranormal or have anything to do with it ever again because they stirred up the wrong hornet's nest. So that's why I think it's important to have people like you on to talk about the dark side of the paranormal, because there is a danger. There is a danger when you go down this, Yeah. I want to say thank you to Summerside of Life for the $20 donation. Thank you so much. And we'll get this question here. Question for the guests. When will God end the suffering for the people that are going through bad times?
Well, most of the people that are going through the bad times are light workers. And that's what's coming within the next 3 years. The transition is starting with the new year. We talked about this new year. We talked about it the other day because there's so much conflict in the world and so much pain and suffering. And I don't know a single light worker out there that's rich. So, a lot of people struggle. And that was his response was over the next 3 years. It's starting the first part of the 2025, and it will continue over the next 3 years.
Like things getting better?
Yeah, things getting better. Things getting better. There's a lot of relief. Especially for light workers, financially, spiritually, emotionally. These things are all going to get better over the next 3 years.
Well, I say, we can't depend on any one person to get us out of this mess.
No, that's
of the world.
True. Yeah.
We have to do it as a people, as a movement, and pay it forward.
Yeah.
Pieces every step. All you can do is the little things in life and treat everybody with kindness. That to me, that could change the world if everybody started thinking that way.
It's like Abraham Lincoln said, if the United States falls, it'll be from within, not from without.
Yeah, it's totally true. Well, June, thank you so much for being on the show. Love to get you back on again in the future, so stay in touch, especially when your new book comes out. Let me know.
I will.
It's a total honor to have you on the show, especially on your birthday. Happy birthday again to you.
Thank you. Another year shot.
Yeah, another year shot. Well, hopefully it's a new year. Like you said, things are looking up, I hope.
Yep.
Things will be better. Not everybody feels that way. I get it. But, I think we got to start not letting the negativity get to you. Have a hope for a new, better future. Let's hope. All we can do is be kind to each other and try to live by example, right? All right, June, thank you so much for being on the show. That is it, guys. We will be back next Sunday with Ellen Cohn, Animal Communicator. We're going to be talking about, she didn't write down the name of her book. I know it has to do with these 3 horses. I just got the copy of the book. I'm going to start reading it this week. Same bad time, same bad channel, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Thank you to everybody who shares out the show. Keep telling your friends about Paranormal Soup, where the weird happens live every Sunday night. And thank you to everybody on my Patreon for your donations. I am trying to work to start adding new things to the Patreon page. I know I've been totally bad about that. And for those guys who called in on Halloween show, I got 1 phone call edited so far. I am working on it. Anybody called in for the Spirit Box, I am going to be reviewing more of those this week and getting more of those phone calls up. They will be coming soon. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. See you next Sunday.